Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Hokage, Annihilation of Everything. Chapter 41. I still came to school with my lunchbox as usual, and I have formed this habit in the past few days. Makoto basically no longer needs to carry a lunchbox. Every time it is lunchtime, Luo-chuan naturally calls her to enjoy the lunchbox together. Even the little chili peppers are the same, and they eat them reluctantly every time at Makoto's invitation. However, every time, Luo-chuan would make him very angry with some of his jokes and he would leave in a hurry. However, Makoto dispelled her anger with a few words, and the next day she pretended that nothing had happened. Luo-chuan also enjoys the peace at the moment, but he also knows that these peaceful days will soon disappear, and he will soon start his official ninja career. The ninja world is vast and fascinating. All kinds of magical escape techniques and various blood inheritance limits are all opportunities for him to improve his strength. He has been preparing for the battle in the future for several years. In that fleeting battle, the life of a ninja was the most worthless. With one word and one action, thousands of ninjas went through fire and water, dedicating everything they had. Arriving in the classroom, Luo-chuan walked straight to his seat as usual, and nodded to Makoto when he passed by her. This is how habits are formed. However, today's seems a little different. Makoto did not respond with a smile as usual, but looked at the desk without making any movement. Luo-chuan frowned unconsciously. What's wrong with Makoto? With doubts, he came to his seat and sat down, thinking about things secretly in his mind. Kushina on the side glared at him, a bit teasingly. What? Your gentle and beautiful lady is ignoring you now, do you feel disappointed? Luo-chuan didn't even look back, and his words almost triggered Kushina's fiery temper. Huh? Someone talk. You. Kushina's head was covered with black lines, one hand was supporting the table, and her facial muscles were twitching violently. Actually, he ignored her words so much. This idiot is really enough. Is it fun to bully people like this? The truth is, it's really fun. The furious Kushina suppressed her anger and sat down. She didn't mean to get angry and stared in front of her angrily. Luo-chuan didn't pay attention to her changes, he was more concerned about Makoto's changes. It's not that I feel disappointed because the other party ignores me, but I feel that there seems to be something abnormal here. Although it was just a small change, it was a huge change in his eyes. No matter who says hello to Makoto, she always smiles back. However, there was no smile on her face today, and she looked at the desk with dull eyes. What happened? With this doubt and confusion, he simply refined chakra, continued to stabilize his power, and also thought over and over about those ninjutsu. The brand new ninjutsu, the ninjutsu that is exclusive to Byakugan and Dust Release, will eventually shock everyone when it is revealed. The power of the upgraded Byakugan to swallow the blood successor Kaikai is transformed into the Byakugan's pupil power, and these Byakugan have all the abilities of the ordinary Byakugan, and also have other special abilities. If developed well, they will definitely not be weaker than any blood successor Kaikai. The power of. There is also the upgraded Dust Release. His own Dust Release ninjutsu has been developed. Some ninjutsu were improved after obtaining the ninjutsu in the sealed book, thus forming brand new ninjutsu. If it weren't for the sealed book, it would still take a long time to complete the creation of these techniques. 8 inner gates, I wonder if you should practice. 8 inner gates, this is another physical technique obtained from the Book of Sealing. It is an extremely dangerous technique. It was understood by Might Dai and recorded in the Book of Sealing. Luo-chuan was also surprised when he saw the Book of Seals. It turned out to be a technique that had already been created. 8 inner gates is a technique that releases the body's restrictions on chakra and releases excess energy. In the meridian system of the flow of chakra, the places that inhibit and control the chakra in the body include the 8 gates: opening gate, resting gate, life gate, injury gate, do gate, jing gate, shock gate, and death gate. This 8 gate will set a limit on the amount of chakra in the body, but this technique can force the chakra to exceed this limit, thereby eliciting a trick that is dozens of times more powerful than the original. However, while gaining power, the caster may be damaged, so this technique is listed as one of the forbidden techniques. It's a very dangerous technique, and the damage and burden on the body is really terrifying. However, if viewed as an explosive technique, this technique is very necessary to learn. This is a kind of fierce power, which is the opposite of the gentle fist method of the Hyuga clan. The method of practicing this technique has been memorized in my mind, and now I am just weighing the necessity of learning. As he was thinking, time passed bit by bit, and soon it was time for get out of class to end. When the get out of class bell rang, Luo Chuan straightened up naturally, took out his lunchbox, and said to Makoto in front, "Makoto, it's time to eat." Wow, it's still so rich. Kushina feels a sense of psychological imbalance every time she sees a bento. Why is his bento so delicious, but why does it turn into batter every time she brings it over? This is also one of the reasons why she doesn't know how to adapt. Wouldn't it be okay if she didn't bring ramen? Luo Chuan glanced at her lightly and said calmly, "Considering that some people have an exaggerated appetite, I brought a little more to feed her." What do you think I am? I won't eat." Kushina turned her head when she heard this. Didn't she think of her as some kind of creature? Makoto in front did not turn his head, but took out the bento he had prepared and whispered, "Thank you, Luo Chuan and Kushina, please eat. I brought it myself." Luo Chuan frowned, and even Kushina felt strange. "Don't want to eat? Don't you want to eat together?" "Well, I brought it myself today. Thank you, classmate Luo Chuan, for your kindness. I have already brought it." Makoto's voice was a little deep, as if it contained some emotion. Luo Chuan had countless thoughts running through his mind, but he still couldn't figure it out. At this moment, a familiar voice came over, "Don't think about it. From today on, she will not eat anything from you, nor will she have anything to do with you." Uchiha Fugaku, who had been silent for a while, came to Luo Chuan again. A proud smile, a look of disdain. The person in front of him who had once made him lose face was no longer a threat. He thought he had grasped the biggest advantage. He wanted to laugh a few times to vent his past anger. Luo Chuan just glanced at him and continued to look at Makoto, saying, "Makoto, did he threaten you?" Makoto shook his body and stopped looking at Luo Chuan. Instead, he stared at the desk in front of him, his shoulders shaking slightly. Luo Chuan frowned as he watched. What on earth happened? Why is Makoto like this? This matter must be related to Uchiha Fugaku. Beautiful. Hello. Uchiha Fugaku blocked his sight, with a face full of mockery. "Makoto is not a name you can call. Perhaps it would be more appropriate for you to call her Mrs. Uchiha." Luo Chuan's pupils shrank. What does this guy mean? Kushina was confused. Why did she suddenly become the young lady of the Uchiha clan? It doesn't seem right. Makoto's body also trembled violently, his fists clenched tightly, and he lowered his head and said nothing. Luo Chuan had more or less understood some things and said, "Speak in human language." Judging from Makoto's performance today, things should have changed yesterday. Yesterday, Makoto was still chatting and laughing with him, but today, such a huge change has occurred. "And, young lady," Fugaku said with a proud smile on his face, "of course Makoto will become my wife, and the wedding will be held after graduation. By then she will be the young lady of the high-ranking Uchiha clan. It is not something someone like you can reach." Got up. The words had been made clear, and Luo Chuan hadn't spoken yet. Kushina couldn't help it anymore, and suddenly stood up and slapped the table. "What? Makoto wants to marry you? Are you kidding me? You toad really wants to eat swan meat. Already?" After saying this, Fugaku's expression suddenly changed and he shouted, "Uzumaki Kushina, don't go too far." "What's wrong if I go too far? If you don't feel good, come and hit me. Then I'll complain to Master Hokage." After moving the Hokage out, Kushina, this little pepper, is indeed fearless, and is not afraid of the young leader of the Uchiha clan in front of her. Fugaku, who was said to be a toad, had a dark face. He knew more or less about Kushina's identity, so naturally he didn't dare to be too presumptuous. If she offends Kushina, it will be tantamount to offending the higher-ups of Konoha and Uzumaki Izuna. Someone will stand up for her at any time. But Luo Chuan's mind turned around. This should be the decision of the Uchiha family after Makoto returned last night, and it must be something caused by Uchiha Fugaku. If this is the case, it can explain Makoto's huge changes before and after. Makoto is a member of the Uchiha clan, but she is just an ordinary girl and does not attract much attention. Moreover, her status in the clan is not very high, so it is naturally impossible for her to have the ability to go against the decisions of the higher-ups in the clan. Being in a big family, this is her destiny, and it is also a fate that she cannot change. Everything made sense. Luo Chuan took a deep breath, looked directly at Fugaku in front of him, his eyes flashed with coldness, and said indifferently, "Uchiha Fugaku, I hope your dream can come true." Maybe, there are some possibilities. After Luo Chuan finished speaking, he stood up and left with an expressionless face, so no one could know his inner thoughts. Fugaku did not doubt that he was there, and said to his back, "Remember, don't harass Makoto in the future, she is my fiancé." "Oh, is it so?" Luo Chuan's light words came over, and Fugaku's face turned dark immediately. This fool makes people feel bored at all times. The two brothers Hiashi and Hizashi looked at each other, finally shook their heads and followed out. Kushina snorted heavily. "A toad is a toad, hum." As he said this, he ran out quickly. However, Fugaku was so complacent that he ignored his words. Only Makoto looked in the direction of the door, feeling sad. Mist has gathered in her beautiful eyes, and her shoulders are shaking more frequently. Fugaku felt unhappy and said coldly, "Makoto, this is the family's decision, you can only obey it." "What, do you still want to disobey the family's order? As a member of the Uchiha clan, you must behave as an Uchiha, the spirit of dedication of a family, this is your destiny, and it can never be changed." After saying that, he snorted angrily and left the classroom as well. After he left, Makoto couldn't bear it anymore and lay on the table, tears falling to the floor. "Jun Luo Chuan, I'm sorry, I can't disobey the family's orders." Whispering in his mouth, Makoto, a weak and gentle beauty, couldn't help but cry. Late at night, in Hyuga Kianyang's room. "Boy, are you sure you're not mistaken? Do you really want to do this?" "Of course, Uchiha Fugaku has provoked again, and now I have no reason not to slap him in the face." Luo Chuan still looked calm, but Kianyang could clearly see the trace of monstrous anger in his dark eyes. Hyuga Kianyang was silent for a long time, and then said, "If you really plan to do this, then I will not stop you, but this matter still needs to be discussed carefully. Before the matter is determined, you can't attack Uchiha Fugaku, otherwise it will be easy for others to get caught." "I know, I will suppress it." After Luo Chuan finished speaking, he left Kianyang's room with a cold smile on his lips. "Uchiha Fugaku, since you want to use this method, don't blame me for being cruel." Hyuga Kianyang looked at his leaving figure, more or less worried. "Hey, it seems that this storm is about to start. Luo Chuan, since it is your decision, then I, as an uncle, will not sit idly by and let you be wronged." He murmured something in a low voice and then said loudly, "Invite some elders to come over." A few days have passed and Luo Chuan has been in the ninja school for a month. Within a month, Luo Chuan's strength has improved a lot, and several battles have provided opportunities for him to improve. The amount of chakra at the elite Chunin level is a powerful force, especially when the two abilities are added together, he will become a monster-like existence. Basically everything was fine, but the Makoto incident made Luo Chuan feel a little depressed. For a few days, Makoto never communicated with him again, while Fugaku was showing off his power, as if he was declaring his sovereignty. This kind of situation made the two brothers Hiashi so angry that they wanted to have a fight with him. Even Kushina felt unhappy when she looked at Fugaku. She kept a dark face all day long, as if someone owed her 18 million. On the other hand, Luo Chuan behaved calmly, as if everything didn't matter. Every calm response made Fugaku, who wanted to win, feel so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood, and wanted to beat the opponent violently, but there was nothing he could do. "Makoto, get out of class is over, let's go." Fugaku came to Makoto's side again and stretched out his hand to grab Makoto, who was about to get up and leave. Makoto instinctively took a step back, leaving Fugaku's hand hanging in the air, embarrassed on the spot. As if he noticed something, Makoto turned to look at Luo Chuan, then lowered his head, and sighed in his heart, saying, "Young patriarch, I already have friends waiting for me outside. I can just go back with them." After saying that, he ran out of the classroom. Fugaku twitched the corner of his mouth. "Friend? What kind of friend do you have? He didn't even let him hold your hand." Are you really going to rebel? Good and evil will be rewarded in the end, it's just a matter of whether they come early or come late. Luo Chuan Shishiren said this. Fugaku had a long face. Is this mocking him? Hiashi rolled his eyes, walked over, and asked with a puzzled look, Boss, what does this mean? It looks so profound. Luo Chuan gave him a compliment in his heart and said leisurely, good deeds will be rewarded with good things, and evil deeds will be rewarded with evil consequences. It's not that there will be no reward, the time has not come yet. The same meaning as before, doing good deeds will eventually lead to good rewards, and doing bad things will eventually lead to bad consequences, retribution. So you shouldn't do immoral things. Boss, I understand. It means that immoral people may suffer bad luck for 8 lifetimes, such as choking on drinking water, being hit and killed while crossing the road, or using fire-style ninjutsu. Sometimes you will be burned to death by your own fire, or you will die of red-eye disease if you are jealous of others, right? Hiashi said matter-of-factly. Luo Chuan was already laughing in his heart, but he didn't realize that Hiashi, who was usually very carefree, was now so sinister. Yes, that's what I mean. You are very smart. Luo Chuan held back his smile and walked out, and the 2 Hiashi brothers quickly followed. Behind him, Uchiha Fugaku's face was ashen, and he actually cursed him like this. And the way of pointing fingers at Sang and Y is really enough. Of course, he has no choice now. Not to mention that he didn't mention him by name, but that the 3 of them tortured him like a lost dog in a matter of minutes. Luo Chuan walked out of the classroom and turned his head and said, Hiashi, you performed very well just now. Hiashi put away his previous appearance and said with a smile, the boss taught me well. I know what I should do. Oh, have you figured out your mission? Then, this month's time has not been in vain. Hazashi, help Hiashi from now on. If you have any difficulties, come to me. Yes, boss. Hazashi is still so stable. Although he is still young, he already has the prototype of his future. Hiashi is also gradually changing. This is one of Luo Chuan's tasks when he came to the school. Naturally, a young patriarch of a famous family in the future cannot be allowed to maintain his cheerful temperament. He must make changes and understand the weight of his burden, so that he can understand what he should do. A huge family faces not only the small village of Konoha, but also the large ninja world. If you don't have enough courage, wisdom, and character, how can the Vice Admiral family prosper in the turbulent ninja world? It's night, and the bright moon in the night sky gives people a cool feeling. In the dim moonlight, Luo Chuan continued to refine chakra in his family, but one thing always made him a little irritable. Stopping practicing, Luo Chuan slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air, thought for a while, got up and lurked and left the family. Being extremely familiar with his family, he left the Hyuga clan with ease and wandered around the streets of Konoha. There were not many pedestrians at this time, only a few drunkards or 2 lying on the roadside, continuing to dream about their spring and autumn dreams. Night is the peak time for ninjas to be active. Many ninjas choose to perform some special tasks in the dark, so that they can avoid the cluttered crowds during the day and complete their tasks more conveniently. After walking for more than half an hour, Luo Chuan's white eyes had already observed 2 ninjas moving on the roof of Konoha, moving quickly towards the planned route. A ninja career is full of dangers and infinite possibilities. I don't know what my ninja career will be like. 2 years, at most 2 years of preparation time. He lamented that he did not have enough time. Unlike those carefree students, he knew better what major events would happen in the world in the future. It was a major event that almost overturned the entire world and plunged the entire world into panic. How did you get to Kushina's residence? I looked up and saw that the wandering around turned to the door of Kushina's house. Thinking of Kushina's attitude all along, she shook her head and turned to leave. And he inadvertently glanced at the balcony on the 2nd floor, and it was this inadvertent glance that made his pupils shrink suddenly. A black figure walked inside the house and out onto the balcony, carrying something on its shoulder. After looking left and right, the figure quickly jumped up and ran away into the distance. Luo Chuan's eyes were fixed in that red sun-like red, so dazzling under the dim moonlight. Kushina, I can clearly tell from the color of my hair that what is carried on the shoulders of the departing shadow must be Kushina. Luo Chuan's heart skipped a beat and he quickly disappeared into the nearby shadows, his white eyes firmly locked on the enemy. Want to run? Then you have to ask Konoha if he agrees. Judging from the speed and direction of the other party's escape, he must be leaving Konoha. Kushina has a special status and is the future Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Now I am in Konoha, but it is also because the current Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is approaching the end of his life. In this way, Kushina will definitely inherit Nine-Tails and become the second-generation Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. However, the sudden appearance of this person taking Kushina away really made him doubt this person's purpose. Without alerting the enemy, he followed the opponent hundreds of meters behind, and his eyes could clearly see whether the opponent noticed him. Byakugan can pass through obstacles, see the flow of chakra through objects, and can also be used for reconnaissance and other functions. Following the man, he left the village and headed to the west. Let me go, you. If you dare to bully my aunt, I'll beat you to death. Kushina, who was being held on her shoulders, was angry and dared to sneak attack her. She must make this guy look good when the time comes. However, the person carrying her didn't say a word until they reached the forest about 10 kilometers away from Konoha, and then gradually stopped. Whizzing. The moment he stopped, two figures suddenly jumped down from the nearby tree and quickly stood beside the man. Under control. Certainly. All three people were wearing black clothes, with masks on their faces, and there were no forehead protector marks, so their identities could not be determined. Leave now, it's too close to Konoha and it's not safe. Hey, let me go. Kushina struggled. Judging from the words of these people were not ninjas of Konoha at all. This is not a silly joke, but a real kidnapping. Stinky girl, be quiet or I'll beat you up. You are the stinky idiot, my aunt is so sweet. If you want to verbally suppress Kushina, a little pepper, there is really not much possibility. The ninja didn't talk nonsense. Anyway, he had been caught and he could just be taken back to the village. Let's go. Wait, just as the three people were about to leave, a voice suddenly appeared, causing the three people to leave. Phew, a faint light flashed in the dark forest, breaking the silence of the night, and a harsh sound broke through the air immediately. What? Shuriken. There are shurikens appearing from all directions, and they are flying from the surrounding trees. Are there so many enemies? This had to be a conspiracy. Their plan was revealed. The three people quickly stood up and jumped away, scattered in three different positions. However, just when they landed on the ground, the previous voice appeared again. Earth-style hard beheading technique. A hand suddenly appeared from the ground and grabbed a ninja's ankle, then pulled it down. The ninja was startled when he heard the source of the sound, but there was not enough time to escape. Boom! The ninja's body was pulled directly into the ground, leaving only his head hanging out of the ground, looking around nervously. Without any warning, a fist came down from top to bottom and hit his head, instantly exploding the fist. Kushina's body lost its center of gravity and was thrown downwards, and she couldn't help but exclaim. However, he soon felt someone hugging him again, and he immediately began to struggle. Looks like he's still in good spirits. Familiar voice, familiar flat tone. Kushina was stunned for a moment. How could it be him? The person who appeared was naturally Luo Chuan. When the other two ninjas appeared, he had already thought of a plan and summoned the shadow clone. After they were about to leave, he spoke and used shurikens to intimidate the three of them. At the same time, he sneaked underground and took the three people away. The ninja carrying Kushina pulled him into the ground and blasted the opponent's head with one punch. The plan was linked together, and Kushina was easily rescued and an enemy was killed. The other two ninjas also reacted at this time, and when they saw it was another child, their expressions suddenly darkened. It was actually a kid who scared them. I originally thought that with so many shurikens appearing, how many people must be ambushing here. Unexpectedly, he was tricked by someone. It was just a shadow clone. However, a child who can use shadow clone and has such courage and wisdom is definitely not a simple character. You kid, you dare to play tricks on us, you are looking for death. One of the ninjas had a deep voice, making it difficult to tell the age of the other person. However, his chakra capacity was clearly observed under Luo Chuan's eyes. It's really interesting that there's a special Jonin, and there's also an elite Chunin. Luo Chuan did not hide his voice and expressed the strength level of the two people in one sentence. The pupils of the two ninjas trembled. Could they actually judge their strength? How to judge? Suddenly, Jonin noticed Luo Chuan's eyes and snorted. It turns out he is a kid from the Hyuga clan. No wonder he was able to sneak attack on us. It is not difficult for the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan to determine the chakra in the opponent's body, and these eyes are very effective in long-distance detection. Such reliance can well explain what happened to the companion who was killed by a sneak attack just now. Kushina, stand back. I'll give you something. If they want to attack you, just throw it over. As he said this, he stuffed a handful of things into Kushina's hands. Kushina was stunned when she saw it. More than 20 detonating talismans, this is too extravagant, right? Detonating charms are expensive things. Luo Chuan ignored Kushina's surprise behind him, put on the gentle fist stance, and said coldly, come on. Court death. Special Jonin rushed over immediately, while the elite Chunin behind him quickly used ninjutsu. Wind-style vacuum sphere. Wind-style vacuum sphere. The elite Chunin behind him quickly used a wind-style ninjutsu. Luo Chuan smiled when he saw this ninjutsu. He had used this ninjutsu before and had quite a lot of experience with it. Several wind-style light waves passed through Special Jonin's body and came towards Luo Chuan. Luo Chuan reacted quickly and also used this ninjutsu. The same ninjutsu is used by different people, and the effects are naturally very different. Luo Chuan's ninjutsu is faster. When the opponent's wind-style light wave approaches a few meters in front of him, his wind-style light wave has already hit the ninjutsu, quickly destroying the opponent's ninjutsu, and then two more are involved. The wind-style light wave hit Special Jonin. Whoosh! That special thing. Jonin sensed the light wave coming, and quickly stopped and jumped back. The two light waves flew right past his cheek, leaving two small wounds. Clatter. In particular, Jonin quickly fell back to the ground and half-crouched to observe the opponent. The two wounds on his cheeks were bleeding out from the wounds caused by the light waves. One of the characteristics of wind-style ninjutsu is its cutting ability. The cutting ability is one of the best among all ninjutsu. Just a small scratch can cause a wound like a blade. Elite Chunin teleported to his side, observing carefully at the same time. Just now his ninjutsu was easily disintegrated, and the opponent still had residual strength to deal with a Special Jonin. From this point, it can be seen that this kid is not simple. That Special Jonin looked at Luo Chuan cautiously and said in a deep voice, this kid is not simple. He may have Chunin level power. Be careful and be sure to kill this person to avoid leaving a genius in Konoha. Yes. After Elite Chunin answered, he rushed forward, first throwing out a dozen shurikens, and then quickly forming seals. Wind-style great breakthrough. He took in a sharp breath, his chest swelled, and he opened his mouth to blow a whirlwind towards Luo Chuan's position. A whirlwind formed, causing the nearby trees to rustle, and the leaves continued to be blown up into the air. This is a ninjutsu used to restrain the enemy, with the purpose of blowing the enemy away. However, Luo Chuan quickly stood up and used his hands to resist the continuous impact of the airflow. At this moment, the Special Jonin went around to the side, crossing Luo Chuan and approaching Kushina. The final target was Kushina. Luo Chuan noticed his actions and no longer resisted the whirlwind. Instead, he used the power of the whirlwind to rush towards Special Jonin. Ding! That special one. Jonin had just thrown out a few kunai and was about to attack Kushina. At this moment, Luo Chuan flew over. Without any time to think, he took one kunai with his bare hands and quickly flicked away the other kunai. Jonin gritted his teeth with hatred when he saw this situation. He actually tried to destroy his good deeds. This kid was too difficult to deal with. How could there be so many monsters in Konoha? Luo Chuan, who stopped in front of Kushina, smiled lightly and said, Kushina, now is not the time to be in a daze. Stand far away and leave everything to me. Kushina, who was stunned by the Special Jonin, completely relaxed after hearing this. She took a few steps back, braced herself and put the detonating talisman on the kunai. Elite Chunin came to Special Jonin again, with a depressed look on his face. Did the plan still fail to catch this brat from the Uzumaki clan? This kid from the Hyuga clan is too shrewd to be fooled. It has been more than half an hour since the kidnapping. If it is delayed any longer, the people from Konoha will soon catch up, and the mission will fail by then. Strong attack, we must take that brat back. Especially Jonin gave the order, and the two of them rushed over at the same time. Luo Chuan also knew what the other party meant, so he stopped defending and rushed forward. Seeing Luo Chuan preparing for close combat, the two ninjas' eyes lit up. What a great opportunity. How far can a kid's physical skills reach? Now they only need to fight in close quarters and rely on their years of experience to kill this kid in minutes. However, the next scene made them completely regret it. Luo Chuan rushed in front of them, and when they both stabbed the kunai down at the same time, Luo Chuan suddenly made a gentle fist stance. Gentle fist method 8 trigrams 64 palms. Without hesitation, he used this physical technique. The chakra in Luo Chuan's body surged out along the acupuncture points, and his hands and legs continued to attack the two people in front of him. The speed was so fast that only a faint afterimage could be seen. Bang bang bang. In just 2 seconds, Luo Chuan had completed all 64 palms. The two ninjas never expected that he would be so fast. They were unable to block him all of a sudden, and they were all hit, and their bodies continued to retreat. Boom. The two people who retreated to a big tree stopped, but Luo Chuan hit 8 trigrams 64 palms again. The strong force punched the big tree, and the two people passed through the big tree and fell heavily to the ground, unable to move. Luo Chuan stopped when he saw this situation and walked straight towards the two of them. Kushina took a long breath, put away the detonating charm and kunai, patted her small chest, and muttered, "Scared to death. This idiot Luo Chuan is still very powerful, he can even defeat ninjas." Luo Chuan was not worried that the two of them would suddenly counterattack. One of the attack methods of the gentle fist method was tapping acupoints. When using 8 trigrams 64 palms, it hits the opponent's internal organs and meridians, sealing the opponent's chakra and making it impossible to use it. As a result, these two people have chakra for nothing, but are completely unable to use it. Naturally, there is no threat at all. The two ninjas who fell to the ground had painful expressions and severe pain all over their bodies. It was difficult to even move their bodies. They were even a little groggy and almost fainted because they couldn't hold on. Luo Chuan didn't say much. The kunai directly pierced the heads of the two men, ending their lives. After searching for them, I finally found something useful. This is Cloud Shinobi Village. The iconic forehead protector was found on the ninja's body. The forehead protector represents the identity of the two people, and there is also a document. Just as he was about to open the file, two sounds suddenly broke through the air. Before he could open the file and read the contents, Luo Chuan turned to look at the person who had already appeared. Two people, a man and a woman. The man is pale, has long black hair, and is wearing a Konoha shinobi forehead protector and a Jonin vest. The golden eyes are like snake eyes, and the purple eyeshadow extends to the wings of the nose. The woman has a delicate face, long blonde hair tied into a ponytail behind her back, and a curvy figure that is extremely feminine. She is also wearing a Jonin vest and a Konoha forehead protector. Orochimaru, Tsunade. Two names flashed through his mind, and Luo Chuan was able to determine their identities. Especially Orochimaru, he gives people the cold and cold feeling that is like being stared at by a snake. Meeting these two future legendary figures for the first time, Luo Chuan looked at each other carefully. Unexpectedly, his actions seemed a little funny to the two of them. A child under 10 years old looks a bit funny no matter how he looks at himself, assuming the posture of an adult. Especially Tsunade, she wanted to laugh loudly and tease this brat. "Child, are you looking at your beautiful sister or this uncle?" Tsunade said with a smile. At 20 years old, she was at the age when she was most beautiful, and her every move and smile exuded the softness and charm of a woman. But her temperament is bold and cheerful, with a hint of cheerfulness added invisibly. Luo Chuan withdrew his gaze and said, "I am observing the two disciples of third Hokage, Orochimaru and Tsunade." Tsunade raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, "Now observe it, what is the result?" Two very powerful ninjas, worthy of being students taught by the third Hokage. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, I'm laughing so hard. Little brother, can you stop being so cute? It makes my sister want to get close to you. Tsunade walked over and hugged him as if he were playing with a toy, while one hand was still playing with his hair. Luo Chuan was silent. Tsunade's power was not something he could resist, at least for now. But Orochimaru's snake eyes flashed with a look of interest, and his eyes swept over the 3 ninjas who were dealt with, and he was surprised and even more surprised. Tsunade, this kid is not simple. Why don't you let me ask him something? Orochimaru also walked over slowly, his sinister tone making people shudder. Luo Chuan was wary. Orochimaru may not be as crazy as he would be 20 years later, but human character is latent. Judging from his words so far, it would not be something to be proud of if he noticed it. Of course, he will not be afraid. As the saying goes, if you don't do anything wrong, don't be afraid of ghosts knocking on your door. Tsunade knew what the other person wanted to do when she heard what he said. She knew this companion that she had known since childhood. Don't mess around. This is a brat from the Hyuga clan. He also rescued Kushina and killed the enemy ninja. He is a man who has done meritorious service. She can still distinguish right from wrong, and her ability to become a Jonin is not only due to her strength but also her rich experience. Being able to see the situation clearly at a glance is not a skill for her, but an instinct belonging to the ninja. Orochimaru stopped, looked in Kushina's direction, pursed his lips and smiled. Tsunade believes him so much. What if he has any secrets? Unexpectedly, such a reminder made Tsunade wave his hand and said, "Well, don't worry so much, he's just a kid. Besides, we are all from Konoha. As for secrets, who doesn't have a little secret? Yes, isn't it, little guy?" Hyuga Luo Chuan, my name. Luo Chuan did not answer her words, but said the name in a flat tone, like a machine automatically answering, without much emotion. Tsunade was stunned for a moment, then laughed, patted Luo Chuan on the shoulder, and said, "What a cute kid, my sister can't help but discuss with you how to be a truly cute child." That's what she said, but it could be heard from her tone that she was not so happy, at least not now. "This is something you get from a ninja, take a look." Without saying a word, he handed the obtained documents to Tsunade. Now he can't have too much contact with Tsunade and Orochimaru, otherwise it will only be detrimental to him. Especially Orochimaru, this evil figure among geniuses. Once he focuses on him, he will inevitably be caught with some small tricks, and he will be controlled by others. Tsunade wanted to say something more, but after Luo Chuan handed over the document, he could only stop reluctantly, took it apart and took a look at it. His expression suddenly changed when he saw it, and he quickly showed the document to Orochimaru. Orochimaru's expression suddenly changed after seeing it, and he said, "Go back immediately." After saying that, body flicker technique left. Tsunade glared at Luo Chuan, who was calm, and said, "Kid, take Kushina back and be honest, or next time your sister sees you, be careful of your butt blossoming." Luo Chuan didn't care. Although he was curious about the content of the file, now that the file was no longer in his hands, it naturally had nothing to do with him. He walked to Kushina's side, looked at Kushina who was still a little confused, and said, "Let's go, don't make anything public about what happened tonight, it won't be good for you." Tsunagaku's ninjas attacked Kushina, and he had vaguely guessed the reason why. If nothing unexpected happens, that matter will be carried out soon, and the peaceful days will be over by then. Kushina, who was usually cheerful, seemed a little shy at this time. She lowered her head and said, "Then let's walk back slowly, okay?" Casual. Luo Chuan's answer was clear. Kushina suddenly laughed and said, "I knew you were the best, hee." Luo Chuan shook his head slightly and said, "Then let's go." "Yeah, I know. There is one thing we talked about while we were walking. Let me tell you, except for a few adults, no one else knows about this matter. You will be the first one." On the way back to the village, Luo Chuan looked a little serious. What Kushina said made him feel a little troubled. The first generation Nine Tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Mito will soon seal Nine Tails into Kushina's body. From then on, Kushina will live as the second generation Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Kushina herself came to Konoha as a candidate for Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Otherwise, it would be difficult for her to move freely in the village. Kushina was born with a very powerful chakra, and that chakra can suppress tailed beasts very well, just like Mito. Now that the first Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Mito, is about to die, Konoha discovered and selected her as the new Nine-Tails Jinchuriki out of strategic needs, in order to maintain the balance of the tailed beasts and protect the country from invasion, thus secretly she brought it to Konoha. Because Kushina's chakra is huge and is the best container to suppress tailed beasts, the ninjas of Cloud Shinobi Village also appeared. However, these 3 Cloud Shinobi Village ninjas do not use the ninjutsu that Cloud Shinobi Village is most proud of, but use wind-style ninjutsu. Why is this? Is it to deceive others? No, things seem a bit complicated. Luo Chuan had so many things on his mind that he didn't notice that Kushina was in a low mood after listening to Kushina's words. Luo Chuan, actually. Kushina, who was walking next to her, stood there with her head lowered, her beautiful eyes looking at the ground, as if there was something else going on. Luo Chuan stopped, turned to look at her, and said, "Is there anything else?" No, actually a little bit. Kushina, who thought she was careless now, is like a shy girl who can't speak clearly. Seeing her like this, Luo Chuan thought for a moment and roughly knew what was going on. He smiled and said, "Don't be nervous. If you have anything to say, please speak slowly." "Yes, I know," Kushina replied in a low voice. Her voice suddenly became lower, and said, "Actually, when I knew that I was about to become a Jinchuriki, I was very resistant. The loneliness and depression that comes with becoming a Jinchuriki, the feeling is almost suffocating me. I obviously don't want to, but I have to accept this cruel reality. Do you think this world is unfair? It is obviously something that has nothing to do with me, but because of my physique, I have to take those things away forced upon me." Perhaps only at this time will the usually careless girl confide in her innermost feelings and fears. Luo Chuan was silent. The situation of Jinchuriki in various ninja villages was not very good. Most Jinchuriki were lonely. They had few friends, and the villagers would avoid them out of fear, lest they could avoid them. Growing up in this environment, most Jinchuriki will have problems with their mentality. Judging from the current situation of Kushina, she may have anticipated those things. After becoming a Jinchuriki, she will have very, very few companions. Perhaps what this carefree little girl fears most is losing the people around her and living alone. Just when he was about to comfort him, Kushina suddenly raised his head and smiled, saying, "Fortunately, Grandma Mito explained the matter to me. It made me let go of my burdens and face life more positively and optimistically." Uzumaki Mito. Luo Chuan thought about it for a while. This Xuanwo water margin has experienced many things, so it is not difficult to enlighten Kushina. Forget it, since it's not such a big problem, everything is fine. After Kushina becomes a Jinchuriki, her power will become even more powerful. Now she has a huge chakra, but she doesn't have a good way to control the huge chakra. Now that you've put down your mental baggage, are you ready? Stop talking about these things, there is another thing I want to tell you. Kushina has a small face and looks quite serious. I'm not a man who breaks his word, and I will keep what I said that night. Huh, what are you talking about? Luo Chuan didn't react for a moment and asked instinctively. But when he thought of these key words that night, he seemed to understand something, and there was a faint smile on his lips. Kushina was embarrassed when he asked her this question, and she was already going crazy. Is this fool just an elm-headed person? So clueless. Okay, then the ant will make it clear directly. Firming up her thoughts, Kushina put one hand on her hips and pointed at Luo Chuan with the other, humming, "Listen, from today on, you will be my man. From now on, you have to marry me, and you have to let me bully you enough. It's decided like this, you are not allowed to refuse." Sure enough, his true nature was revealed all at once. Even the mature Luo Chuan couldn't help but feel ashamed. Was it actually confessed to by a little girl? I just wanted to make a joke that night and tease her, so why did I take it seriously? However, judging from her recent behavior, it seems that this is really the case. Although his body is only 8 years old, his soul is that of a real 20-year-old young man. And since I have been here for 8 years, I can be said to be almost 30 years old. Seeing the serious look on Kushina's face, Luo Chuan smiled lightly and said, "Do you understand what you have to do after you get married? Do you understand what the love between men and women represents? More importantly, you know what will happen to a woman if she is rejected by a man after getting married. So, instead of letting you bully me enough, you should think about how to please me. This is the right thing, right? Quote. Ah, is that like this? Kushina simply doesn't understand. Is this really the case? Why didn't anyone tell her about it? It doesn't matter, you have to marry me anyway. Okay, let's go back. I won't, unless you agree to marry me. It's getting late. Don't marry. If you don't marry me, I won't get up. I'll kill you if I find a piece of tofu, don't stop me. Okay, I promise you for now, and we will talk about the details later. This is. A slight sound came from far away, and in this silent forest, it was as violent as breaking through clouds and cracking rocks. The speed was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, a man wearing a black cloak and a patterned mask appeared here. He was carrying a sword behind his back, standing on a tree trunk, and observing Luo below through the remote control of the mask. Chuan and Kushina. Anbu, this is the ninja that belongs to Anbu. However, this is a rather special Anbu ninja. Root, it can be clearly judged from the masks that the masks worn by Anbu ninjas belonging to the Hokage lineage are basically animal images and do not have fancy patterns. Most Anbu ninjas wear white or black cloaks, and the patterns on their masks are also rich and diverse. There was a good distinction between the two, especially Luo Chuan, who had seen ninjas from both sides, and he recognized at a glance which force Anbu belonged to. The Roots are a special force under the direct control of Shimura Danzo. They only take orders from Danzo and will not pay attention to orders from Hokage or anyone else. Even after Danzo gave the order, they would rush to the Hokage building and assassinate the Hokage without hesitation. This is the Root, so emotionless, the Root that only takes orders from one person. When Luo Chuan revealed his identity, the ninja was not surprised at all. They had no emotions and could easily act calmly. Now that you know my identity, come with me now. The Root ninja's words were filled with a biting cold aura, like the body of a walking zombie. Luo Chuan smiled faintly, his eyes opened, and he carefully identified the amount of chakra of the other party. Kushina, on the other hand, shrank behind Luo Chuan, no longer paying attention to Luo Chuan's perfunctory answer just now. For now, it's better to hide behind him, finding a sense of security is the most important thing. I didn't expect that Danzo still wouldn't give up. He wants it so badly. It's really hard for him. Court death. The Root ninja's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and he immediately jumped down from the tree trunk, and reached around his back with one hand to remove the sword. The sword slashed from top to bottom, and the sharp sword reflected a bright light under the reflection of the dim moonlight. Back off! Luo Chuan shouted low, moved his hands, and two kunai appeared in his hands, jumped up, and went towards the sword. Ding! Even though Gen Ninja's movements were very fast, Luo Chuan, a genius from a family that specializes in taijutsu, was not slow at all. He discerned the trajectory of the sword and easily blocked it. The Root ninja who was blocked by the sword suddenly drew the sword, and then slashed wildly. Seeing this, Luo Chuan quickly dodged left and right. His body was as dexterous as a snake, and he could easily dodge all the enemy's attacks. Kushina had already retreated more than 10 meters, nervously watching the fight between the two. Her heart was already clenching, and she couldn't help but mutter. But don't let anything happen to you. If something happens to you, who will marry me in the future? No, nothing will happen to you, otherwise I won't let you go easily. The kunai and detonating talisman that were originally put away have been taken out again at this time, waiting for the opportunity. It's just that her combat experience was too little to seize the fleeting opportunity. The two people in the battle seemed to want to engage in an endless taijutsu contest. Gen Ninja had not used any ninjutsu yet, and Luo Chuan was happy to compete with him, while looking for the enemy's loopholes. How could Anbu, who has Grandmaster's assassination skills, let people catch the loopholes so easily? While attacking, the defense is almost watertight, with too few loopholes. If that's the case, then take the bait yourself. Luo Chuan secretly thought to himself, and one of the kunai that was resisting the attack of the sword suddenly came out of his hand and fell aside. Good chance. When the Root ninja saw this scene, he knew that the opponent had a flaw, so he quickly slashed with his sword at an extremely fast speed, leaving only afterimages. Seeing this, Luo Chuan fell backwards, and at the same time, he forced his body to one side, and the falling sword hit the ground close to his body. At this time, Luo Chuan slammed one hand on the ground. Konoha Rising Wind. The body ejected under this palm, and then spun like a tornado, kicking his legs towards the opponent. The root ninja didn't expect Luo Chuan's reaction speed to be so fast, and he was kicked straight up and flew upwards into the air. Whoosh! After kicking the enemy away, Luo Chuan jumped into the air, appeared on top of the opponent's head, and kicked him hard, causing the root ninja to fall downwards. Then, Luo Chuan suddenly used a gravity technique on himself, and instantly landed on the ground like a heavy-weight drop. At this time, the root ninja had just landed on the ground, right in front of Luo Chuan. Gentle Fist Method 8 trigrams 64 palms. The 8 trigrams field has opened up, as if there are green yin-yang fish 8 trigrams arrayed under his feet. Bang bang bang. Any part of the body can be used as a weapon for his attack. The rapid attack turned into afterimages, which lasted only 2 seconds. Luo Chuan quickly stopped. Puff! The root ninja's body had been ejected backwards, and he fell heavily to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. The mask on his face had been shattered by Luo Chuan, revealing his appearance. A middle-aged ninja in his 40s, blood was flowing from the corner of his mouth, and there was an obvious palm mark on his face. Shocking, extremely shocking. The root ninja couldn't imagine that he would be defeated by a child and still be so decisive. This sophisticated approach, this decisive action, this precise judgment. Where is a child here? This is clearly a ninja who has been trained to the end. Just one mistake resulted in irreversible consequences. A series of combined attacks could almost kill the ninja instantly. Luo Chuan has absolute self-confidence, and the current root ninja has no ability to resist. With the major acupuncture points sealed by the gentle fist method, it was impossible for his chakra to be mobilized. Just a special Jonin. Knowing the opponent's strength limit, Luo Chuan killed the root ninja without hesitation and used fire style to destroy the corpse and eliminate traces. After doing this, Luo Chuan walked to Kushina and said, "Let's go, you have to keep this matter a secret and not publicize it. Then you agreed to my request." In the Hyuga clan's mansion, Hyuga Luo Chuan, who returned here, came to the head of the family's room. "Master, we need to talk about some things." Going straight to the point, Qian Yang, who was looking forward to what news Luo Chuan would bring, smiled and said, "I'm looking forward to your words, so tell me." Luo Chuan nodded and said, "Just now I saw someone holding Uzumaki Kushina hostage." He explained what happened just now. As he explained, Hyuga Qianyang's smiling face gradually disappeared, and his face became slightly gloomy. "Did that guy Danzo do it? Gen's ninjas only respect Shimura Danzo. This is an open secret among the top management of Konoha. As long as Gen's actions are taken, they are directly authorized by Danzo. In this case, it can be basically concluded that this matter was done by Shimura Danzo." Hyuga Qianyang has a gloomy face. Shimura Danzo is a Hokage consultant, with a transcendent status, and is in charge of the root, with overwhelming power. He has always been at odds with Hokage, constantly causing obstacles for Hokage. If the Hyuga clan had a conflict with Shimura Danzo, it would undoubtedly make some people laugh, and it might even add insult to injury. However, as an ancient and prestigious family in Konoha, the Hyuga clan is naturally not a vegetarian. Shimura Danzo must be here for Byakugan. If so, I need to discuss this matter with Mr. Hokage. Don't worry, if Shimura Danzo wants to touch you, it's not that simple. After saying that, he stood up and left, and Luo Chuan also returned to his own courtyard. Telling Hyuga Qianyang these things is also out of trust in him, and now Danzo is eyeing him. If Elite Jonin is sent to attack next time, it will be difficult for him to resist. Moreover, the conflict between Shimura Danzo and Hokage has existed for a long time, and as time goes by, this conflict will only continue to intensify. The third Hokage's temperament will inevitably become indecisive under the erosion of the tide of time, causing many irreparable losses. Without really stimulating the third Hokage, he would definitely not really touch Danzo. In this case, Luo Chuan already has some confidence in his heart. As long as there are enough conflicts and the price is high enough, third Hokage will have to take action against Danzo. Putting aside the conflict between the third Hokage and Danzo, Danzo now covets the power of Byakugan, which is a taboo thing for the Hyuga clan. It is strictly forbidden for anyone except the clan members to have Byakugan. Once anyone is found plundering the Byakugan, the Hyuga clan will attack in groups. Danzo is taking risks. Danzo is testing the waters. If the Hyuga clan, a member of the Hokage sect, had no say in this matter, then there would be more he could do. A seemingly small thing has a complicated and lengthy side behind it. Ignoring these things for the time being, Luo Chuan continued to practice ninjutsu and continuously improve his chakra. What happened tonight was a bit complicated. Kushina was about to become a Jinchuriki, Cloud Shinobi village attacked, another root ninja showed up, and two of the future Sannin were also met. Tsunade Heim's attitude is very interesting. It seems to be close to her, but also to her censorship, which is unpredictable. Orochimaru's is pure interest. It's a strange thing in itself that a kid can kill 3 adult ninjas. His instinct made him want to interrogate this kid to see what kind of secrets this kid had. But after seeing the document, he couldn't help but change color on his face, and quickly returned to the village with Tsunade. With so many things happening at the same night, Luo Chuan felt deeply that his own strength was insufficient. Killing a special Jonin should be something to be thankful for, but it's not. The special Jonin killed this time was a ninja of the root, a special Jonin assassinated by the Grand Master, not a special Jonin with blood inheritance limits or special abilities. Once you fight a special Jonin who has blood inheritance limited abilities or is similar to the sentient or explosive type, the battle will be much more difficult. Moreover, this time I met Orochi King and Tsunade. Judging from their titles, they belong to elite Jonin, and their strength is likely to have reached the quasi-cage level. Such strength is definitely not something he can defeat now. The road has to be walked step by step, but now there are some bumps on the way forward, and some strong people have emerged, which makes him a little surprised and sighing. In fact, he had never thought that killing a special Jonin at the age of 8 would be a heaven-defying genius in any ninja village or any force. The dust escape ability has a slight tendency to rise. Take advantage of it now to improve it, so as not to be insufficient when using it as a killing move. The ability of Chen Escape to annihilate everything is his greatest certainty, especially the ability to destroy even the soul, which is the ability to touch the rules of the world. Between heaven and earth, there is a cycle of cause and effect. The soul ascends to heaven or falls to hell. This is an eternal truth. But now, upgraded Dust Escape has broken such rules and become a unique ability. Hokage building. Hyuga Kianyang hurriedly came to the Hokage office to meet the third Hokage. The third Hokage, who had just learned something, was feeling depressed, and now the arrival of Qianyang made him feel a little bad. Qianyang, why did you come here this time? Hyuga Qianyang was not polite. He opened the door and said, Sir Hokage, there are always people in the village who covet the eyes of the Hyuga clan, and now they are doing things that take advantage of them. Hokage-sama, the Hyuga clan hopes to be treated fairly. White eyes. The third Hokage's heart skipped a beat. The Hyuga clan's Byakugan was one of the 3 major pupil techniques, so there must be no problems. But a thought that came to his mind made him vaguely guess something. He picked up the cigarette rod and took a deep puff, sighing, did Danzo do it? Sir Hokage, in the name of improving the strength of the village, Danzo has secretly done many evil things, and many elite ninjas have died at his hands. Now he has extended his black hands to the Hyuga clan. Mr. Hokage, what do you think? Quote. Well, what do you think it should be? Lord Hokage, you know why Danzo studied the blood succession limits. Lord Hokage, it's time to take action. Hyuga Qianyang said it righteously and started from the enemy's starting point. The third Hokage naturally knew what his old friend was up to, and he had a lot of trouble with him because of Hokage's position. As a hardliner in Konoha, Danzo turned into a Hokage advisor after failing to compete for the position of Hokage, and controlled killing machines like Gen. It can be said that Danzo already possesses very powerful power, second only to Hokage in Konoha. Even on certain matters, he was able to unite with the advisors of the Elder Council to put pressure on Hokage, causing Hokage to change his decision. The emergence of the Elder Council only appeared after the third Hokage came to power. Extremely powerful, with the power to veto Hokage's decisions. Most of the elders take orders from Danzo. It can be said that Danzo indirectly controls the elders. Sarutobi Hiruzen has an unshakable responsibility for the formation of the Elder Council. If he hadn't let it go because of his guilt for his friend, this powerful organization would not have been formed. This is a vicious cycle. If there is a first time, there will be a second time. With the power in his hands, Danzo began to study the blood inheritance limit. Some ninjas often disappeared in the village for no apparent reason. In the end, Anbu's investigation revealed that it was basically related to the roots. Over time, Konoha's talents will slowly be lost. A huge ninja village will slowly decay and eventually fall. Kianyang, do you want me to make a decision? Third Hokage asked calmly. Hyuga Kianyang's words gave him a bad feeling. He understood what was special about Hyuga Luo Chuan. He was a genius that the Hyuga clan had high hopes for. The Hyuga clan spent a lot of effort to cultivate it. Once something happened to him, the Hyuga clan would not let it go. The foundation of a village's stability may be shaken. When internal conflicts continue, coupled with external conflicts, the village will be in danger. The village has had internal conflicts for a long time, not just Shimura Danzo's problem, but also many other conflicts. A qualified leader should have the ability to handle this situation. If he cannot handle it, then the leader is not so competent. Hyuga Kianyang also has many things to consider. He belongs to the Hokage faction, so he will naturally consider it for the Hokage. But he is also the head of the Hyuga clan, and he will also think about his family. These things Shimura Danzo did are absolutely not allowed, especially the information revealed by Luo Chuan now, which made him firm up his inner thoughts. Hokage-sama, Shimura Danzo has been studying the blood succession limit for a long time, but he has not seen the research results so far. In this case, there are only two possibilities. One is that he failed to study it, and the other is that he plans to monopolize it and strengthen himself. The power. Hokage-sama, Konoha is a big collective, and such a situation is very chilling. What you said makes sense, but if you attack Danzo, Konoha will definitely be disrupted. Kianyang, listen to my advice, let's forget about Danzo. But I can guarantee that he will never covet Luo Chuan again. That child's eyes rolled. If anything, next time I will directly declare war on Danzo. At this moment, Third Hokage is full of energy and courage. Although he feels ashamed of his friends, when it comes to the safety of the village, he still chooses the village. If the Hyuga clan goes to war with Danzo, all kinds of conflicts in the village will break out. At that time, a major crisis may break out in the village, and it may even withdraw from the ranks of the 5 great ninja villages. The third Hokage thought it was unbearable and could not afford such a terrible price. Hyuga Kianyang was also silent. The third Hokage had already given in, but how could it be done just to let Danzo get away with it? If Danzo's arrogance is not dealt a blow, he may attack the Hyuga clan again at some point. Now Danzo is already working on other things. If his investigation is not wrong, Danzo's black hands have already reached out to the famous families in Konoha. If we don't attack them now, the next target may really be the Hyuga clan. Thinking of what Danzo had done behind the scenes, Hyuga Kianyang felt a chill. He could do such inhumane things, what else could he not dare to do? Sir Hokage, if Danzo dares to attack Luo Chuan again, then please take your leave, Sir Hokage, as if nothing has happened. After saying that, he left the Hokage office. Even though he was gentle and steady, he couldn't help but get angry now. The third Hokage looked at his leaving figure, opened his mouth to speak, and finally turned into a sigh. In this critical period, it is best not to have those things happen, otherwise, I will be Konoha's eternal sinner. First generation, second generation, how should I choose? Turning to the Hokage rock, the first generation and second generation are still young, and the statues have perfectly demonstrated the majestic momentum of the 2 former Hokages. While he was struggling with the Danzo matter here, he was in another place, which was also one of the centers of power in Konoha. Route. Failed. After not getting a reply from his subordinates for a long time, Shimura Danzo whispered, and there were 2 ninjas beside him. Danzo was not disappointed in his heart, but rather a little excited. The failure of his subordinates means that Hyuga Luo Chuan has more powerful power and potential. This should be attributed to his white eyes. Otherwise, I really can't think of any ability that can allow him to quickly obtain such powerful power. Perhaps there is another possibility, that is, other blood inheritance limits. If it is another unknown blood inheritance limit, then maybe it is really possible. Thinking of these possibilities, Danzo's heart was like a galloping horse and he could not calm down for a long time. The blood succession limit has always been a power he coveted, but it is a bit of a pity that he has not been able to study the blood succession limit so far. It's necessary to go take a look. I'm a kid who was born with white eyes. I don't know what reason you can find for this meeting. Chapter 51. There were no classes in the ninja school today, it was a holiday. Luo Chuan didn't go anywhere. He was studying the creation and strengthening of ninjutsu alone in another courtyard. The last time he killed a special Jonin didn't increase his power, but it made him understand something. Only when the skill of pressing the box can be used smoothly can it be called the skill of pressing the box. It is better to give up than to keep the ability with uncertainty. The battle between strong men can last 10 days and a half, but it can also last in an instant. As long as a flaw is revealed, a violent bombardment will surely follow. Familiarity with ninjutsu is crucial. Only by deeply understanding your own abilities can you know when to use what ninjutsu. The ability development of the upgraded Byakugan is based on devouring. The devouring blood is transformed into its own pupil power. This is the greatest ability of the upgraded Byakugan. At the same time, the techniques belonging to these eyes are also being gradually developed. Like the previous blood devouring, it was a typical ninjutsu that absorbed the blood succession limit. Then there is the return to the world of dust release, which is a ninjutsu that decomposes the body and crushes the soul. Both techniques are very powerful, but there is still a lot of room for improvement. Judging from the techniques developed so far, there are already many derived ninjutsu, just waiting to shine in real battles. After this period of training, Chen Dan has improved his strength a little, and the books he developed basically don't require any seals, and some of them are Muji ninjutsu which can achieve instantaneous effects. Looking at the missing piece of ground under his feet, Luo Chuan thought to himself, the effect of dust escape in swallowing space is quite impressive, but it is still difficult to achieve a large-scale swallowing effect now. The missing piece of ground under your feet is the effect of dust escape. Today's dust escape has the effect of swallowing space. It swallows designated things in a certain space, thus causing the effect of swallowing space. But in fact, the devoured space will appear at a certain location, and this ground is the space that comes with dust escape. After swallowing these things, space cracks will occur in the swallowed area, thus forming a space channel. A black space crack had appeared just now, but it quickly disappeared, making it difficult for him to observe what was inside. But just feeling the breath made him excited. The space passage, the aura of the space passage is so obvious. If the space channel created by swallowing space is properly utilized, then there was endless reverie in his heart, and all kinds of possibilities flashed through his mind. As for the power of dust to annihilate space, it is within the scope of the book. Whether it is life, soul, or space, everything will return to nothingness. While he was thinking about the future development prospects of Chengdu, a member of the Hyuga clan walked into the courtyard and shouted outside the door, "Master Luo Chuan, the head of the family asks you to come to the front hall." Luo Chuan stopped thinking, walked out of the room, and asked, "Do you know what it is?" "I don't know, maybe there are guests visiting." This answer made Luo Chuan even more suspicious, but his face did not change at all, and he followed the man to the front hall with a calm expression. Walking into the front hall, besides the familiar Hyuga Qianyang, there was another person present. When he saw this man's appearance clearly, Luo Chuan's pupils shrank. It turned out to be him. "Master, why are you here with me?" he asked Hyuga Qianyang, but he simply ignored the guest who came. Qianyang didn't mind his attitude, nodded slightly and said, "Sit down." Although he was the host, Qianyang did not introduce the guests, nor did he let Luo Chuan say hello to the guests. The guest didn't pay attention, still sitting there, his black eyes glanced at Luo Chuan, as if a gleam of light flashed through him. After Luo Chuan sat down, he closed his eyes and rested his mind. "Hyuga Qianyang, it's time to get down to business." There was neither sadness nor joy in the visitor's words, which seemed elusive. Hyuga Qianyang also had an expressionless face and said, "I don't know what kind of serious business Danzo-sama wants to talk about." The person who came was Shimura Danzo, the leader of the Roots and the Hokage's sworn enemy. Of course we are talking about the future development prospects of the village. You also know what Gen is studying. Only those things can make Konoha stronger and secure its position as the leader of the 5 great ninja villages. So you're going to get the eye roll now, right? Hyuga Kyonyang interrupted him directly, and Danzo nodded. This was the purpose of his trip. Then I don't know what kind of eye roll you want. Could it be that you want Luo Chuan's eye roll? That's true. HMPH, Danzo, you are so brave. You openly ask for the eyes of my Hyuga clan. Do you think that my Hyuga clan is a soft persimmon that you can pinch and poke at your will? Hyuga Kyonyang's expression suddenly changed. Danzo did not hide his purpose. This time he came just for Luo Chuan's eyes, or for Luo Chuan. Kyonyang's anger was unexpected by Danzo. He took a sip of tea and said calmly, Kyonyang, you have to understand that this is for the sake of the village. I sent someone to invite Luo Chuan a few days ago, but there seems to be something wrong with his attitude. The implication is that Luo Chuan killed Gen's people, and this matter will not be settled that easily. Luo Chuan also opened his eyes and locked on Danzo. Now this guy is here to make a preemptive strike. He couldn't get it through Black Hands, and now he dares to go to the Hyuga clan and demand the handover of Byakugan. It's really ridiculous. Could it be that this guy thought that killing a root ninja would be a bargaining chip for his victory? Danzo, it is a taboo in the ninja world to seize other people's blood inheritance limits. Are you prepared to do such a thing now? In addition, Luo Chuan's attitude is the attitude of my Hyuga clan. How are you prepared? Kyonyang, the development of the village requires a lot of blood inheritance limits. This is for the good of the village, you should understand. Oh, I am very interested in the wood style you are studying. I wonder if I can hand it over. This is for the good of Konoha. As the power of the Hyuga clan increases, the power of the village will naturally increase. Hyuga Kyonyang's words made Danzo smile and said, wood style is still under research. How can we contribute to the village before the results are obtained? Besides, that is not something that the Hyuga clan can possess. Hyuga Kyonyang sneered in his heart, are you still pretending at this time? Yes, I have been studying wood style for so many years, but there is still no result. However, I don't know what the people in the village would think if they knew that you were using cells from the first generation to study wood style. We all have chips and we all have handles. Wood style has not been researched yet, which is something Danzo feels regretful about. Wood style is the ability of the first generation. It has great power and can suppress tailed beasts. This kind of power is what Danzo desires most in his heart. However, wood style is too mysterious and he has not been able to successfully study it after years of research. Wood style is different from white eyes. Does this mean that the Byakugan is inferior to wood style? Shimura Danzo, are you trying to provoke my Hyuga clan? Seizing the opportunity to counterattack, Kyonyang doesn't mind striking while the iron is hot at this moment, and will find an excuse to anger this person and deal with it all at once. This person is too dangerous to the village. Whether it is his mentality or his actions, it will cause serious harm to the village and family. Konoha is the cradle of geniuses, but countless geniuses have been secretly dealt with by this person, either captured for research, taken in, or framed. He would do anything for the sake of being the Hokage, regardless of the consequences. The assassination of Hokage by Son is an example. Although the ninjas had been executed at that time, they refused to confess Danzo. Anyone who understands knows that no one but Danzo can order the actions of Gen's ninjas. But the captured ninja refused to let go and even committed suicide. For the sake of the stability of the village, the third Hokage at that time chose to keep the matter quiet, and the Danzo incident was settled. That is to say, from that time on, Danzo's arrogance was almost unstoppable by anyone. Hyuga Kyonyang knows these things very well. After all, he is one of the people Hokage trusts most. It is absolutely stupid to provoke the Hyuga clan. Even if Gen is powerful, he cannot compete with the entire Hyuga clan. If he really attacks the Hyuga clan, he will usher in a fierce counterattack, and even the Hokage faction will take advantage of this to make him unable to step down. If things get too tense, it will only embarrass him. Danzo knows this clearly, so he said, no one will go against the village, not you, nor me. Everything is for the village. This is an indisputable fact. As long as it's something that's good for the village, even if I have to bear the blame, I'm willing to do it. His words were righteous and touching, and people who didn't understand the situation might fall to him. But everyone present knew the other person's temper, so they naturally laughed it off. It seems that today's conversation is very regrettable. I would like to advise you not to be stubborn, otherwise you may become a sinner in the village. A tall hat was put down, but Hyuga Qianyang smiled disdainfully. Danzo stood up as he spoke, and Luo Chuan said at this time, there is a saying that if you always walk by the river, your shoes will not get wet. The blood inheritance limit is not something you can have. One day, you will be in the blood inheritance limit trembling, fearful, and regretful. Danzo turned his head to look at him, his eyes narrowed, half smiling. Do you feel embarrassed after making it clear? No one has ever said that to you, right? Luo Chuan said and stood up. Although his body was that of a child, his face had the calmness and stability of an adult. It's easy to get lost in power, and it's easy to be corrupted by power. The Hokage advisor is also the top title in the entire ninja world. However, there are always people who want to ascend to the highest position. But they don't want to be one step away, so close to the end of the world. This made it clear that he could not become the Hokage, which deeply hurt Danzo's heart. The half-smile expression on his face changed, his eyes stared at Luo Chuan, and he said calmly, really? He was taught by a kid. This is the quality of the Hyuga kid. It's very exciting. With that said, he left the front hall and no longer stayed here. Luo Chuan smiled coldly and said to his back, Master Danzo, please inform me before inviting someone next time. After all, I am not that free. Danzo's back trembled slightly, his steps paused, and he continued walking forward. After he had completely left, Qianyang walked up to him and said, Boy, it's okay to be so sarcastic. But you have to be careful in the future, Danzo will never give up easily. He will never give up until he gets a look from you. As the saying goes, it's easy to dodge an open gun but hard to avoid a hidden one, so you have to be careful. I know that, but that. As he spoke, he glanced at the cup Danzo was drinking tea from before, seeming a little confused. Qianyang looked at it and said nonchalantly, do you think you need to give tea to someone who comes here with bad intentions? Then he is pretending to drink tea. Interesting. No, it may be that he is breathing in the air. After all, his stomach is too dirty. Drinking some air might clear his stomach. That's right. The exchange between the two was very interesting, but they were not so relaxed inside. It may be safe among the Hyuga clan, but after leaving the Hyuga clan, Danzo's next action will be more violent, and it will not be so easy to bear it. There are also some powerful ninjas among the Jonin levels are normal, even elite Jonin have them. Those are the weapons that Danzo has cultivated, weapons against everything. Master, if Danzo takes action next time, it may not be that simple. I have made it clear to him today. I am afraid that he will do everything possible to get a look on his face, and even attack the Hyuga clan. What Luo Chuan is worried about is this. Even if the Hyuga clan can win the game with him, they will have to pay a heavy price. I know, but Danzo will never dare to attack the Hyuga clan. The stability of the village is considered from many aspects, and I am very confident. Have you anticipated that? You really have the potential to be a Hokage. Don't say these words randomly, although they sound very comfortable. The plunder failed, and Danzo's conspiracy was completely shattered. It is impossible for the Hyuga clan to hand over Hyuga Luo Chuan, and there is no reason to hand over Byakugan. If other villages had tried to seize Byakugan, they would have been smashed to pieces by Qianyang, leaving him nowhere to bask in the sun. Luo Chuan didn't go to the school for several days in a row. The development of the dust escape technique was already in full swing, and the courses in the school were not very helpful to him, so naturally he would not consider going to the school. Nowadays, there is only one reason to go to school, and that is to investigate the matter of his parents. That matter is absolutely related to the Uchiha clan, and Uchiha Fugaku may know that matter. It's been so long, it's time for you to speak out once and for all, Uchiha Fugaku. Thinking of what this man once said, Luo Chuan smiled coldly. It's all in vain. No matter how well prepared you are, you still can't withstand what happens next. People's words are scary, and people's words are scary. Go to school again tomorrow. According to the previous discussion with Qian Yang, it should be time to make the Uchiha family bleed. After thinking about these things, Luo Chuan was about to take a rest when he suddenly noticed something and his eyes opened immediately. Call out. After opening his Byakugan, he immediately threw out 2 kunai and jumped back. Ding ding. 2 crisp sounds exploded like thunder in the dark room, and the figure swayed and appeared in front of the window, like a ghost. The black figure that appeared in front of the window had gray divine light reflecting in its eyes. Luo Chuan carefully judged the amount of chakra with his white eyes and formed seals with his hands at the same time. Fire-style Phoenix fire technique. His chest swelled, and chakra spurted out of his mouth, turning into flames the size of basketballs and pointing towards the window. Under the firelight, the black figure wore a striped mask and exuded the aura of death. Whoosh! When the fireball came, the man did not choose to resist, but directly used the body flicker technique to avoid the fireball attack. More than a dozen fireballs smashed the windows and flew into the garden of the other courtyard and exploded. When Luo Chuan saw the other party using the body flicker technique, he also used the body flicker technique simultaneously. When he just avoided it, the person had already appeared in his position, and a kunai was also drawn towards him. What a speed! Luo Chuan had already appeared in the open area of the other courtyard, and Bai Yan could clearly see how the opponent moved and how he attacked. He is able to judge the opponent's strength with just one move. This is a strong person, not a simple strong person. It's Gen's ninja again, Vinegar Maker Danzo. It seems you don't want to give up. The mask is a symbol of identity, and the puppet-like aura on the body also represents where the other person comes from. Only in a place like Gen can such an emotionless killing machine be cultivated, and other Anbu are not like this. The ninja walked out of the room and frowned when he saw the still burning flames. He untied the short sword from behind and sprinted quickly. Seeing the enemy charging towards him, Luo Chuan did not choose to resist forcefully. Even though he had the ability to kill people beyond one level, he was not willing to compete with such a strong man. This is an enemy that is no longer 1 level higher, but 2 levels higher, Jonin. The real Jonin, the ninja from the root, infiltrated into the mansion of the Hyuga clan. There is no need to think too much about his purpose. Except for orders from Danzo, this person would never come to the Hyuga clan without permission. After dodging continuously, Luo Chuan smiled coldly. If he chose not to fight, it would be extremely difficult to catch him. After chasing for a while, Nagin's ninja suddenly discovered that although Luo Chuan was escaping, he did not choose to leave the other courtyard. There's something deceitful about it. Jonin thought of this and immediately accelerated his attack speed. Of course, Luo Chuan was determined not to confront him head-on, so how could he be hit by him? Another minute passed, and a faint smile suddenly appeared on the corner of Luo Chuan's mouth. Wind-style great breakthrough. He opened his mouth and spat out a whirlwind. The strong wind caused the pursuing Jonin to stop and protect his head with one hand. The strong wind took more than 10 seconds to stop. When Jonin sensed that the strong wind had stopped, he would pursue again. It was at this time that a sound broke through the air, and numerous shurikens and kunai suddenly flew from all directions in the other courtyard, shrouding Jonin among them. Jonin's eyes widened when he saw this situation. When did it appear? The attack of hundreds of shurikens and kunai will not be that simple. If it is hit, it will definitely be bruised. Earth-style earth flow back to the wall. A rather peculiar earth-style ninjutsu was used. The moment he pressed his hands on the ground loosened and the 4 earth walls rose up, protecting his body tightly. Laugh. The shuriken and kunai entered the earth wall, but they did not break the earth wall, they were just embedded in it. More than 20 ninjas from the Hyuga clan suddenly appeared around the earth wall, staring at the earth wall with cold eyes. Boom! The earthen wall suddenly collapsed at this moment, stirring up dust all over the sky. When the dust gradually dispersed, the situation inside was a bit unexpected. The original ninja had fallen to the ground, and his head had been chopped into pieces. One hand still kept patting the head. Obviously, this Jonin chose to commit suicide. He is very decisive and cruel to himself, so cruel that it is shocking. Hyuga Qianyang saw this scene and walked to Luo Chuan's side with a dark face. Is it Gen's ninja? In fact, the answer has already come out. Although Jonin's head is broken and the mask is also broken, it can still be distinguished clearly from some small stripes. Luo Chuan nodded and said, "Yes, he is a very strong guy. Fortunately, I am fast enough." Hyuga Qianyang smiled coldly and said, "Since it is confirmed that he is a ninja of the root, everything will be easy to handle." Several elders gathered the elite ninjas of the family and came to see me before dawn with 20 ninja heads of the root. Yes, comma. The killings in the dark night were merciless, and ninjas with white eyes flew through the streets of Konoha like ghosts. The silent killing, the blade hidden in the night is like a ghost, as if it is far away. A majestic yet silent killing began in Konoha. It lasted just over 2 hours before the killing stopped. The head of the Hyuga clan glanced at the head on the table in front of him and smiled coldly. He has been in a high position and has not been angry for a long time. Now a ninja has been infiltrated into the Hyuga clan and is preparing to take away the geniuses that the Hyuga clan has trained. This is a contempt for the Hyuga clan and a provocation to the Hyuga clan. Put it on, I'll take a walk around the Hokage building. The tribesmen put the head in a box, and the blood flowing out of the head covered the bottom of the box with a thick layer. Taking this box, Hyuga Qianyang led 2 people towards the Hokage building. Luo Chuan treats all of this silently. After tonight, the battle between the Hyuga clan in general will officially begin. No one knows what kind of battle will happen at that time. Looking up at the bright moon in the sky, the strange bright moon looked so cold and bloody at this moment. You started the turmoil first, so be prepared to accept the consequences. Return to the room, turn off the lights and rest. The next day, when Luo Chuan just walked out of the gate of Hyuga's mansion, Hyuga Qianyang came towards him and stopped in front of him. I've taken care of the Hokage side, please be careful during this time. After saying that, he walked towards the clan. He didn't need to be too direct when talking to Luo Chuan. This monster-like child would understand everything. Luo Chuan has indeed thought of many possibilities. Qianyang has just returned from the Hokage building. Counting the time, he has been in the Hokage building for at least 4 hours. Spending 4 hours explaining last night's events to the Hokage? No, this is absolutely impossible. The only possibility is that Qianyang has broken with the roots in front of the Hokage, as the 20 heads are proof. Now that he has returned to the family, it means that Hokage has compromised and Gen's situation is in danger. Putting aside his thoughts, Luo Chuan walked towards the school. He hadn't been to the school for several days and just happened to go to see how little Pepper and Makoto were doing. Arriving in the classroom, as soon as he walked into the classroom door, Pepper stood up from his seat and waved his fist at him. Luo Chuan smiled casually, as if he hadn't seen Xiaojiao since that night. A few days had passed, and this girl must have been unhappy. Sure enough, after he sat down, Pepper turned her head, stared into his eyes and hummed heavily. Tell me, do you want to regret it, so you refused to come to school for several days? If that is indeed the case, then what if I say I regret it? Luo Chuan smiled faintly. The regret this little girl was talking about was naturally about marrying her. I didn't expect that she was still thinking about this matter. It seemed that she was serious. Pepper snorted again, with a scowl on her face. If you dare to go back on your word, then I will break your 3rd leg. By the way, I will slander you, and slander you is a useless man, a philandering man who spies on girls taking showers and follows girls. These words made Luo Chuan's face darken. This girl can really do it. If she really regrets it, she will be able to explode now and even take action. Okay, I didn't say anything about going back on my word. Are you so afraid of not being able to get married? Also, your temperament is really hard to tell. After a small rant, Kushina raised her head, her anger dissipated with his words, replaced by disdain. Are you kidding me? A lot of people are chasing after such an outstanding girl like me. I know you have a crush on me, but you are too embarrassed to say it. Luo Chuan is too lazy to continue talking. If this girl lets her be narcissistic for a while, she will definitely fly. On the eve of class, Makoto and Uchiha Fugaku walked into the classroom. Luo Chuan didn't pay attention to Makoto, but stared at Uchiha Fugaku. This kid seemed a little strange. In the past, when Uchiha Fugaku met, he basically had an expression of anger, disdain, and ridicule, but now he is deliberately suppressing these emotions, and quickly looks away after looking at him. If something goes wrong, there must be a monster. There must be something wrong with this kid. Luo Chuan has been thinking about this matter in his mind all morning, but he still can't figure it out. If Uchiha Fugaku was planning to marry Makoto without causing any trouble, he wouldn't be so repressed, and he never thought about enduring anything when it came to Makoto. That shouldn't be Makoto's problem. Could it be that he is planning to continue sending people to assassinate him? No, it would never be like this if someone was sent to assassinate him. After thinking about it, he didn't have a clue. After the bell rang, Uchiha Fugaku quickly left the classroom without walking to Makoto's side. Seeing this, Luo Chuan thought for a moment and followed him out. Kushina was about to say a few words to Luo Chuan, but Luo Chuan had already stood up and left. She was so angry that she bared her teeth and waved her little fists. Makoto looked at Luo Chuan's back, sighed for a long time, packed his things, and left the classroom with his head half lowered. As Luo Chuan walked out of the classroom, the strange feeling in his heart became stronger and stronger. Uchiha Fugaku in front of him walked quickly outside the school, looking back from time to time. Luo Chuan just followed him from a distance, following him out of the school and into a small forest near the school. Come out. Uchiha Fugaku walked to the grove and shouted, and then a ninja from the Uchiha family appeared next to him. Seeing this person appear, Fugaku immediately said, "Has the matter been done? How much time will it take to kill that guy? There is also the matter of the Hyuga clan. You ghost, tell me quickly. I didn't understand what I heard yesterday. What about the Hyuga clan?" Luo Chuan's heart skipped a beat, and he hid his breath and listened carefully. "Young patriarch, please be patient. I will explain this matter to you in detail." The Uchiha tribesman named Zuki looked around, and after making sure there was no problem, he lowered his voice and explained the matter carefully. But his explanation suddenly made Luo Chuan feel chilled in his heart. Last night, Hyuga Qianyang acted quickly and resolutely. Sha Degan fled in defeat, losing 20 elite ninjas. 20 elite ninjas, all of whom Danzo worked hard to train. He doesn't have to treat these people as subordinates, and he can end their lives at any time. However, if they were killed by others, those 20 elite ninjas would be enough to make Danzo's heart bleed. The lowest level has reached elite Chunin, not to mention those special Jonin and Jonin level elites. Danzo knew what the Hyuga clan's actions meant, but he still didn't feel very confident about facing the Hyuga clan alone. So he approached the Uchiha clan and sought a temporary alliance. Uchiha Hina sneered at the alliance Shimura Danzo said. Danzo has also coveted Sharingan over the years. Who knows what his real purpose is? Therefore, Uchiha Hina did not agree to his request at first. But when Shimura Danzo said he wanted to deal with Luo Chuan, Hina thought about it for a long time and finally agreed to form an alliance. The alliance was finalized, and Danzo left the Uchiha clan. Later, Uchiha Hina summoned the elders and briefly explained the matter. An alliance is possible, but Danzo must be carefully guarded lest Sharingan fall into his hands. So, several people are spying on Danzo. The walking ghost is the person responsible for protecting Uchiha Fugaku. If someone with roots is ready to attack him, the walking ghost will kill the members of the root at all costs. The news that the Uchiha clan had formed an alliance with Danzo had a huge impact on Luo Chuan. Although they are somewhat suspicious of each other, if they join forces, the Hyuga clan has no chance of winning. Maybe Danzo just wants to get his upgraded Byakugan now, but who knows if Danzo will take this opportunity to get rid of the entire Hyuga clan. The Hyuga clan belongs to the Hokage faction. If they are eliminated, it will be absolutely beneficial to Danzo, and it will also be of great benefit to the Uchiha clan. One is that Luo Chuan finally dies, relieving the hatred in his heart, and the other is that the Hyuga clan will be exterminated, which will be of great help to what they want to do in the future. Why can the son of those two people continue to live? I must let him die. Hearing Fugaku's words, the ghost immediately said, "Young patriarch, this matter should not be made public. You promised me not to mention this matter again." You can see some anxiety and nervousness in his expression, and he seems to have a lot of taboos about this matter. Fugaku snorted when he heard this and said, "What are you afraid of?" There is no one here anyway. His parents have been dead for 8 years, what do you have to worry about? If I want to pursue it now, I can't hold you accountable. These words made the wandering ghost scream in his heart. This teenage patriarch simply didn't understand something. This was not something he could just talk about casually. Little did he know, these words had already been heard by Luo Chuan. After hearing what Fugaku said, he already knew what the other party was talking about. Judging from what happened later, this ghost must be one of the original parties, and he must know what happened. The two of them didn't want to continue talking about this topic now, and Fugaku kept asking questions about when Danzo was going to take action. Luo Chuan saw that there was not much meaningful information left, so he quietly left here and returned directly to the family. Now that Uchiha and Danzo have joined forces, Hyuga Kianyang must be informed of this matter, otherwise the Hyuga clan will be in catastrophe. He reported what happened to Kianyang in detail, and Kianyang was stunned when he heard it. Uchiha actually agreed to Danzo's alliance. It's really ridiculous. Danzo has always been targeting the Uchiha family. It's really complicated. What's the relationship between this? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. This idea dominates the thinking of both parties. Since we are enemies that we both want to end, why not join forces to reduce the losses on both sides? Luo Chuan briefly expressed his views, and that's all for now. There is no other explanation than this one. Kianyang nodded solemnly. It makes sense, that's how it should be. But now that they have formed an alliance, they have to find a way to break their alliance. Master, we will decide this matter later. Now I have another thing to ask you. After considering what the other party was thinking, Luo Chuan looked serious and had a serious attitude. Kianyang knew what he wanted to ask by looking at his face, and said, I said before, I will tell you when you get closer to the truth. You should grab more power to improve yourself now, and you should also add more guard against attacks from both sides. Now I have to summon a few elders to make further arrangements. He always has a lot of patience when facing Luo Chuan, which makes some people feel envious. However, Luo Chuan suddenly said, Uchiha is gone. As soon as this name came out of his mouth, Kianyang stopped and turned his head suddenly. How did you know that name? The person who met Uchiha Fugaku today was Uchiha the Ghost, and I also learned something from his mouth. Really? Kianyang fell silent and didn't speak for a long time. Luo Chuan just watched. If the truth of what happened today is not clear, he would definitely not leave. Half an hour passed like this, and the scene was eerily quiet. Finally, Hyuga Kianyang looked up to the sky and let out a long sigh and said, Forget it, since you know the name Uchiha Zongui and are close to the center of the truth, then I will tell you everything about that incident back then. It has been hidden for 8 years. It's time to finally let go of this burden. Luo Chuan's parents both belong to the Hyuga clan and are elite ninjas of the Hyuga clan. They are the same age as Qian Yang. Because they are similar in age, Hyuga Kianyang has been a good playmate since childhood. They went to school together, graduated together, and became ninjas together. Moreover, Hyuga Kianyang is also the adopted brother of Luo Chuan's father, and the relationship is very close. After Luo Chuan was born, an emergency mission forced his parents to carry out the mission together with Uchiha. The mission is to go to the Land of Thunder to steal a confidential document. During the mission, due to the arrogance of the Uchiha ghosts, they were discovered while performing the mission. Not only did they lose their documents, they were hunted for days. During a chase, the ghost Uchiha left the team without permission in order to save his life, and left some secret codes to guide the pursuers to the hiding place of Hyuga Luo Chuan's parents, in an attempt to divert the pursuers in this way attention to provide him with time to escape. In this way, Luo Chuan's parents died unjustly, and the Uchiha ghost returned to Konoha safely, and weaved lies to get through, pushing the blame onto the Hyuga clan. Later, the Hyuga clan secretly investigated the matter and finally understood the truth of the matter. For the sake of the stability of the village, Kianyang simply explained the situation to Hokage, and finally suppressed his anger and did not choose revenge. That's it, this matter has been hidden in Hyuga Kianyang's heart for 8 years, and it has also tortured him for 8 years. Now that the matter has been revealed, Hyuga Kianyang sighed, I failed to avenge your parents in 8 years. This is my dereliction of duty. I am not worthy to be your parents' adopted brother, nor am I worthy to be your uncle." His expression was gloomy, and he didn't know what to say at this moment. Looking at Luo Chuan, who had a gloomy face, murderous intent in his eyes, and a slightly ferocious look, he really didn't know what to do now. Luo Chuan's heart was burning with raging anger, and endless resentment was sprouting wantonly. The truth of the matter turned out to be like this, which he never expected. He once imagined that the Uchiha clan killed them out of hatred, but he never thought that the final truth was that he was framed and suffered an unfair injustice. This kind of hatred is irreconcilable. Luo Chuan took a few deep breaths, tried hard to suppress the anger that was about to explode in his heart, and gritted his teeth and said, "This has nothing to do with the head of the family. The head of the family definitely thinks about the family. No one can say anything wrong with you. I will do this. Let's settle the matter with the Uchiha clan and make them pay the due price." "Luo Chuan, what do you want to do?" Qianyang's expression changed. Could it be that this kid has been overwhelmed by anger? Could it be that he's going to the Uchiha clan to reason? Or a fight to the death? Oh my god, this is absolutely not okay. Unexpectedly, Luo Chuan's temperament was more mature than he imagined. He just heard him say, "I will not do anything reckless. Before I am absolutely sure, I will not expose too much conflict with the Uchiha clan. Now, I want the Uchiha clan to pay some price first. Family leader, please rest assured that I will not collide head-on with the Uchiha clan." Luo Chuan left here after saying that. Now that he knew the truth, he had to find a way to clear his parents' grievances and restore their innocence. Hyuga Qianyang was stunned as he watched Luo Chuan's retreating figure. After a long time, he looked up to the sky and sighed, "Brother, what should I do?" As night fell, a young figure quickly flashed across the Hyuga clan's villa, and quickly jumped out of the Hyuga mansion like an arrow and came to the street. After he left, several other people appeared in the courtyard and quickly chased him in the direction he left. The Uchiha clan is responsible for Konoha's security patrols. Every night, you can see the Uchiha clan patrolling, some on the city walls, some on the streets, some in the dark, and some outside the village. The power of the Uchiha clan has reached its peak due to the Konoha police force, with many people and many strong men. In a relatively remote alley on the west side of the village, 2 members of the Uchiha clan observed every move around them and recorded what they saw. This is not only for the safety of the village, but also for the Uchiha clan. They can investigate many things openly and find out the situation of each department. But now these 2 people don't know that in 2 alleys away, a pair of white eyes are staring at them closely. Amagatama, too weak, too weak. Luo Chuan had a sarcastic sneer on his lips, and his white pupils contained a strong bloody aura, which made people shudder. Looking up at the demonic moon, Luo Chuan formed a seal with his hands, earth-style earth-reflecting fish technique. The body slowly sinks into the ground, and things above can be accurately observed from the ground. With this ninjutsu, Luo Chuan moved underground and soon came under the 2 ninjas. The 2 ninjas who were recording carefully did not notice anything was wrong. After turning on the Sharingan, they only wanted to complete the clan leader's mission and record the situation in Konoha. Earth-style hard beheading technique. After completing the next ninjutsu, Luo Chuan's hands suddenly broke through and grabbed the ankles of the 2 people, pulling them directly into the ground. He quickly appeared again, and the kunai penetrated through the heads of the 2 frightened ninjas. Laugh. Easily piercing through 2 people who were equivalent to Chunin, Luo Chuan looked at the people who were gradually losing their vitality, dug out their Sharingan, completely smashed their heads into ashes, and stabbed one of them on the body with the other's nails. He wrote a small word, and finally used earth-style ninjutsu to bury the 2 bodies in the ground, but a little fingernails were exposed, and the blood on the ground was not removed. After collecting the Sharingan, Luo Chuan sneered and disappeared into the darkness, looking for the next target. After he left, several people in the distance shook their heads when they saw this situation, and finally disappeared into the darkness without a trace. 4 o'clock in the morning is the time when humans enter the deep water surface, and it is also the time when various dark events occur most frequently. With the things he had prepared, Luo Chuan quickly looked around with his eyes, and after confirming that there was no suspicious person, he quickly entered another place. It was a dark building, with at least a few lights providing some illumination. Luo Chuan's body was wandering around here like a ghost, and he left this place in about 10 minutes, heading towards Hyuga's mansion. The early morning time is always so leisurely and comfortable. When people were starting their busy life, several people wearing bare vests appeared in a small alley, looking at things on the ground and communicating in low voices. Not long after, one of them said, "Is the investigation clear?" "Master, we haven't investigated clearly yet and we don't know who the enemy is." The ninja who reported the report looked respectful. The person in front of him was Uchiha Hina, the head of the Uchiha clan. Hearing that the cause of the matter had not yet been investigated, Hina snorted, "It has taken so long to find out, are you just looking at this pool of bloodline and trying to figure out whether it is sweet or sour? Please punish me, head of the family." Several ninjas from the Uchiha clan were frightened, and the head of the family was angry. They couldn't bear the blame once they were blamed. Overnight, ninjas from several families disappeared. Only some bloodlines were left at the scene, but nothing else was left. This makes people have to wonder if someone is targeting the Uchiha family. After Hina learned the news, she couldn't sit still and rushed to the scene quickly, but the situation seemed a little complicated. There was only bloodline, but no body. It must have been taken away by someone. Hina, who could not find any results, had a dark face. Just when he was about to turn around and leave, he suddenly noticed something and his eyes focused on a place in the bloodline. Squatting down, Hina stretched out her hand and scraped the coagulated blood a few times, then held up a piece of something contaminated by bloodline with her finger, but it was connected to the blood. Earth-style earth flow rising. A relatively simple earth-style ninjutsu, the ground in front of him began to loosen and gradually rose upwards. As the ground rose, Uchiha Hina's face turned completely dark, and the other ninjas looked at each other in shock. The two corpses in the rising soil were extremely dazzling. Several ninjas pulled the corpses down, only to find that the corpses had lost their heads. After some identification, it was quickly confirmed that this was the family ninja who disappeared yesterday. Asshole! Hina couldn't help but curse. The death of the two family ninjas was not what he cared about most. What he cared about most was that the heads of the two corpses were missing. This made him think of a possibility. Blood inheritance limit. All the ninjas who disappeared last night have one characteristic, that is, they have turned on the Sharingan, some have one Magatama, and some have double Magatama. Now it seems that the head of the family ninja was taken away, and someone must be doing something against the blood inheritance boundary. Sharingan is the biggest barrier for the Uchiha family, and it is only through Sharingan that the Uchiha family can achieve what they have achieved today. If Sharingan is acquired by others and a technique to deal with Sharingan is developed, the situation of the Uchiha clan will be very dangerous. Without further ado, we must investigate exactly what happened and who wants to get Sharingan. Check them out. Hina is unwilling to accept what kind of enemy he is. Now that Sharingan's whereabouts are unknown, he can't accept it in his heart. Several ninjas untied the clothes of the corpse, carefully inspected the opponent's body, and finally said, "Master, it should be a fatal blow. The enemy should be someone with Grandmaster's assassination skills. The test results have come out. One blow is fatal, one blow is fatal." Hina took a deep breath and examined the two corpses. Finally, she found an unfinished piece of paper on the thigh of one of the corpses. The appearance of this word made Hina frown. What is this unfinished word? What does the enemy want to do after taking the head? Is it really the limit of their blood inheritance? Blood inheritance limit, wood, etc. A flash of inspiration flashed in Hina's mind, and she seemed to have noticed something. She immediately opened her eyes and her breathing became more constricted. It must be that guy. Rinai was itching his teeth with hatred and shouted, "Go to other scenes immediately and search underground." Yes, several ninjas had already understood and rushed to other places immediately. "Danzo, it's best not to be you, otherwise, the alliance will be disbanded." Judging from the unfinished words and blood inheritance boundaries, if it was done by someone from Konoha, only Danzo could have done it. Danzo's research on the limits of blood inheritance is not a secret among the top management, and Hina is also very aware of it. Now that the blood succession limit is missing, combined with what Danzo did to Byakugan before, a bold guess comes to mind. As several ninjas who went to investigate came back, there was only one result. One hit to kill, the enemy is Grandmaster's assassination techniques ninja. This result made Hina angry, and Grandmaster Assassinated Technique isn't Gen's ninja an expert at this. There are various indications that Danzo is responsible for everything. But why did he do this kind of thing during the alliance? Why is this? Isn't he worried that the alliance will disband after the incident is revealed, or even Uchiha unites the Hyuga clan to deal with him? Why did he not care about such serious consequences? No, he must have thought that I would think so he took action directly, which would not make people suspicious. Danzo is indeed an old fox. The Uchiha clan and the Hyuga clan have always been at odds with each other, and there will never be any. The day we join forces. After thinking about these things, Hina's anger continued to surge, almost bursting out. Take it back and bury it properly, Danzo, you will regret it soon. Hina quickly returned to the family, and then left the mansion with some people. The next day, in the ninja school classroom, Luo Chuan still came to school. When he first entered the classroom, Namikaze Minato walked up to him, scratched his hair, and said with a smile, "Classmate Luo Chuan, can I ask you a question?" "Explain." "It's like this. After that sparring session with you, I always felt that my speed still had a lot of flaws, so I went to strengthen it. And recently, Mr. Third Hokage came to see me and showed me something. I want to try it again." Luo Chuan's expression changed when he heard this. Third generation has already found Minato. In this case, it is very likely that he showed him that thing, the sealed book. What third generation showed him must have something to do with speed, and what made Minato so confident was other than that technique. In fact, the 49 Lords couldn't think of any other possibilities. In that case, let's discuss it again when we have time. Then when will Luo Chuan have time? Depend on mood. After saying that, he staggered his body and walked towards his position. Namikaze Minato was already messy in the wind. Does it depend on your mood? Does it depend on your mood? Minato was embarrassed, shook his head and returned to his seat. Makoto was already in the classroom and lowered his head when he saw Luo Chuan coming, not daring to look at him again. Luo Chuan didn't pay much attention, but stopped when he passed Uchiha Fugaku's position and said directly, "Makoto is already my fiancé, Uchiha Fugaku, please stay away from her in the future, and please respect yourself." A stone stirred up thousands of waves. Luo Chuan's words were like a huge stone falling into a calm lake, and the room instantly became noisy. Fugaku's brain crashed and he couldn't react. Makoto was also confused by this sentence, raised his head and looked at Luo Chuan blankly. Luo Chuan stopped at her place and smiled, "You will always be my woman. Anyone who wants to take you away must get through me first. Come with me after school." His attitude has been obvious. Makoto can only belong to him and cannot belong to anyone else. Even if the other party is the young master of the Uchiha clan, it is the same. Facing a woman who likes him and has a crush on him, he has no reason to watch her continue to suffer like this. Makoto came back to his senses, nodded with a smile, and Luo Chuan returned to his seat and sat down, not paying attention to the ball's anger that seemed to be able to incinerate people. Uchiha Fugaku also came to his senses and said angrily, "Hyuga Luo Chuan, you. Uchiha Fugaku, please respect yourself. Makoto is my woman, do you still want to get involved? If so, then I don't mind finishing you here today." Luo Chuan turned to look at him, with murderous intent in his eyes. Fugaku was so shocked by his eyes that he almost fell to the ground and was speechless for a long time. Other students in the classroom became even more curious. It turned out that they knew more or less about Makoto and Luo Chuan, but they also knew about Fugaku. Fugaku is an act of ruthlessly seizing love, and everyone knows it. However, Fugaku is the young master of the Uchiha clan, and Makoto is a member of the Uchiha clan. Looking at it this way, it seems that Luo Chuan is not taking advantage and is at a disadvantage. Now that Luo Chuan has said such words, it is tantamount to declaring war. So, will the loving couple stay together forever? Or will the one who competes for love win in the end? It seems that a battle has begun, and the target is Makoto. However, could it really be a battle? After learning about his parents, Luo Chuan hated the Uchiha clan deeply, and now naturally he would not give any face to the Uchiha clan. The two families themselves were sworn enemies, but now they just sprinkled more water on this relationship. The two Hiyashi brothers gave Luo Chuan a big compliment. The boss could do such a thing, and I'm afraid there is no one else in Konoha. It was announced publicly, and looking at Makoto today, she actually chose to follow Luo Chuan without much hesitation. It has been some time since the last provocation from Fugaku, and during this time Makoto has also thought about his heart. It's all silent, just express her attitude. Undoubtedly, Makoto's attitude made Fugaku so depressed that he just wanted to vomit blood. Makoto's action of not giving him any face was simply an insult to him, a complete insult to him. He wanted to argue and resist, but his current strength was completely incomparable to Luo Chuan. Luo Chuan was already ahead of all the students, leaving everyone far behind. The students could only look at his back, looking up at him. Kushina's heart was roaring. Luo Chuan announced this matter in front of everyone. Doesn't that mean that she has no chance and Luo Chuan will not marry her again? How could this work? She had already decided not to marry anyone other than Luo Chuan. What to do now? Will Luo Chuan abandon her? As she thought about it, her anger seemed to destroy everything. She poked Luo Chuan next to her with her elbow and said through gritted teeth, "Hey, you don't want to cheat, do you? Will you still marry me?" Luo Chuan glanced sideways and said calmly, "Marry, why not marry?" Ah, this answer seemed a bit unexpected. Kushina couldn't react and said calmly, "Then, why do you still treat Makoto like that? Is there something wrong with your brain?" Luo Chuan's mouth twitched. This little pepper really dared to say anything. "I will marry both of you, but I will marry Makoto first and you later." What? Kushina slapped the table and almost stood up. She clenched her fists and wanted to give the opponent a heavy blow. Why marry Makoto first? Then I will be the second eldest child. I want to be the boss. The corner of Luo Chuan's mouth twitched again. Is this what little pepper is thinking about? That's fine, then the emotional problem will be easily solved. This is my decision, and you must accept it unconditionally. Accept my decision as your husband. What, do you still have any objections? Luo Chuan turned his head, his eyes flashing with inexplicable meaning. Kushina shook her head quickly. No objection. That's right. For several days, the streets and alleys of Konoha were talking about a strange thing. Luo Chuan from the Hyuga clan and Makoto from the Uchiha clan are in love, and Makoto is also the other's fiancé. This is a unique thing. Anyone with a little discernment can find out that the Hyuga clan and the Uchiha clan are mortal enemies and it is impossible for them to get married. So, what's going on? This incident has become a topic of conversation among people after dinner, and is talked about by everyone. Makoto had been staying with the Hyuga clan for a few days, and Luo Chuan took her into the Hyuga clan that day. The non-Chiba clan was also surprisingly silent on this matter. The extremely powerful Uchiha clan remained silent on this matter, which really made people feel that something was abnormal. Luo Chuan also had some thoughts in his mind, but it didn't matter at the moment. The more rumors there are in Konoha, the better, which will be of great help to him in getting Makoto. For several days, Uchiha Fugaku also expressed silence on this matter, and did not get angry at the beginning. This is something that everyone is confused about. Uchiha Fugaku has an irritable and domineering personality. The Hyuga clan should find a theory on this matter and even start a duel again. However, he strangely chose to remain silent, as if it had never happened, and he just pretended not to see the two of them in the class. Luo Chuan naturally understands that the current situation of the Uchiha family is not like that some time ago. Now the alliance between the Uchiha clan and Shimura Danzo has been broken. The Uchiha clan, who is wary of being plotted by Shimura Danzo, naturally does not dare to be too arrogant. If the Hyuga clan and Shimura Danzo are offended at the same time, the good days of the Uchiha clan will come to an end. The alliance between the Uchiha clan and Danzo was broken because of Luo Chuan. After killing those members of the Uchiha clan, he dug up the Sharingan. Except for some that were absorbed by him, he finally left a pair of Sharingan in Gen's laboratory. Under Chen Dun's special ninjutsu, he could easily do this. When Hina led people to find Shimura Danzo still denied it. However, as the Uchiha clan searched, they finally found a pair of Sharingan, but it was a pair of Sharingan that had a rift. Danzo was confused at that time, and Hina was even more furious. No matter how much Danzo tried to explain, he couldn't explain it clearly. After all, this thing exists in Gen's laboratory, so it naturally has something to do with him. The alliance was broken. When Hina returned to the family to calm down, he suddenly discovered something was wrong. The alliance with Shimura Danzo is broken, then Shimura Danzo is likely to join forces with the Hyuga clan, and the Uchiha clan will be in a very dangerous situation. This is the reason why the Uchiha clan has been silent recently. Uchiha Fugaku was also punished and did not dare to cause trouble to Luo Chuan. It is easy to see through this method of repaying others with their own methods and framing others. However, the two old foxes thought that things were too troublesome, which actually contributed to the successful implementation of the plan and led to the collapse of the alliance. Luo Chuan, what do you want from me? Hyuga Qianyang was smiling all over his face. Since the matter was revealed, his attitude towards Luo Chuan has become more obvious and more natural. Luo Chuan knew that he wanted to atone for his sins, but the matter had nothing to do with him. He will personally go to the Uchiha clan to settle the blood feud between his parents. The blood feud can only be repaid with blood. Master, I came here this time to ask for something I told you some time ago. Oh, an idea flashed in Qianyang's mind, and he thought of what the other party had said before, with a thick smile in his eyes. It seems that you are ready to implement it. You must have a plan. So, how are you going to implement this? Luo Chuan smiled calmly and said, of course I will go directly to the Uchiha clan tomorrow to deal with Makoto's matter. I will take advantage of the current rumors to put the matter to a clean break. And after that, judging from Uchiha Fugaku's character, as long as the matter is decided by then, he will definitely not be able to swallow this breath. By then, Uchiha's ghost will definitely follow him. Don't worry, I will do this. No clues are revealed, no clues. Hyuga Qianyang laughed and said, boy, being an enemy of you is really a terrible thing, and we have already calculated it to this point. It's pitiful that the Uchiha clan will be plotted by a child. This is just to collect some interest first. The third Hokage will definitely notice it, and he will need your help when the time comes. The other thing is Shimura Danzo's matter. You don't have to worry about Shimura Danzo. I have already told third Hokage about it. As promised, he will handle the matter properly. How to deal with it properly? Let's deal with it according to the Hyuga clan's ideas, that's it. When Luo Chuan heard this, a flash of light quickly flashed in his eyes. It seemed that Hyuga Qianyang had already had a showdown with third Hokage. Either Danzo or the Hyuga clan would be chosen. Weighing the pros and cons of the village, third generation must choose the Hyuga clan. A mere Danzo, although he is in a high position, cannot compare with the entire Hyuga clan. Now that the third Hokage has made his choice, Danzo's head will be placed on his neck first, and Danzo's matter will be dealt with after the Uchiha clan's affairs are settled. Undoubtedly, Luo Chuan has the final say on how things should proceed now. The genius cultivated by the family is now about to shine brightly. Qianyang has given Luo Chuan full authority to handle this matter, and he is naturally the person with the most say. After what happens tomorrow, I will apply for graduation. This is the best thing to do as planned. So, are you ready for a ninja career? It's natural. Early the next morning, as the sun rose in the east, while everyone was struggling for the future, a row of ninjas walked out of the Hyuga clan's mansion and divided into two columns and walked towards the street. At the front of the team are Hyuga Qianyang and Luo Chuan. Everyone in today's team is wearing pink clothes, which looks more festive. People on the street looked at this strange scene and were obviously a little confused. And as some people in the team deliberately communicated, some people gradually understood that this is what love means. Many people followed the team. It was really important to have a good look at such an important matter now. The strange things on the street attracted the attention of some ninjas, and even Anbu's attention, and they reported them to the higher-ups. When they arrived at their destination, in addition to the more than 20 people from the Hyuga clan, there were more than 200 villagers behind them. There are ninjas, adults, children, and all kinds of characters. Sure enough, it's the Uchiha clan. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know if it will go smoothly later. After all, this kind of thing is not that simple. Yes, I heard that the Uchiha clan and the Hyuga clan are at odds with each other. Is it possible for such a thing to succeed now? There are different opinions, some are optimistic about this matter, some are not optimistic about it, and some are not concerned about it. Arriving in front of the Uchiha clan's mansion, the two ninjas guarding the door were a little confused when they saw the battle. Why do so many people come to the door of the family? What are they doing here? And these people from the Hyuga clan, what are they causing trouble? In surprise, one person ran in to report the situation, while the other stood at the door and continued to guard. Seeing this scene, Qianyang smiled and said loudly, "Please also invite Uchiha Hina, the leader of the Uchiha clan, to come out and meet you." The sound was like thunder and soon spread to the mansion. Those who heard this were a little confused as to who was at which door, and they were so arrogant in asking the clan leader to leave. When some people came out, they immediately understood. Ganqing is the leader of the Hyuga clan, but why does he want to meet the leader? And Uchiha Hina also walked out quickly, with his brows furrowed, and he still didn't understand what was going on. After seeing the hundreds of people watching, I felt something was wrong. I wonder why the leader of the Hyuga clan comes to see me. Hyuga Qianyang smiled. This Hina has been competing with him for decades, but she has never been able to defeat him. Today, he still cannot win. I came here today just for one thing. My clan's Hyuga Luo Chuan and your clan's Uchiha Makoto are in love. They were childhood sweethearts. In order to protect such innocent feelings, I shamelessly come here today to propose marriage. I don't know what the Uchiha clan leader wants. How about next? No, Hina wanted to say these words directly, but after seeing the scene today, Hina swallowed the words back, thought about it, and said, "Then please come inside and talk with me." Unexpectedly, Qianyang directly rejected his suggestion. "No, let everyone witness this great emotion today." Quote. Hina's mouth twitched fiercely. This fool actually used this method, it's really insidious. Qianyang took a few steps forward, lowered his voice, and said, "Hina, you'd better agree obediently. Now the whole of Konoha knows about their relationship and knows about your son. If you want the Uchiha clan, if you are given the title of breaking up a couple or being a gangster, then you can refuse." Of course Hina was very aware of the recent news in the village, and this incident had troubled him for several days. Fugaku likes Makoto, that's for sure. However, Makoto didn't like Fugaku at all, but fell in love with Luo Chuan, a member of the Hyuga clan. Moreover, the relationship between the three people has been rumored in Konoha. If he refuses in front of everyone, he will undoubtedly be suspected of indulging his son, or even destroying the peace of the village for his personal feelings. This is not what he can bear now, but if he agrees, wouldn't he be overpowered by the Hyuga clan? After much deliberation, it would definitely not work for him to show weakness in front of this mortal enemy. However, just when he was about to refuse, Qianyang whispered again, "Romantic Uchiha chief, I wonder how your two sons are living now. They must be very happy now." What? Uchiha Hina's expression suddenly changed, and she carefully looked at Fugaku beside her. Seeing that he didn't pay attention, she felt relieved. "Qianyang, don't play with fire. The matter of illegitimate children has always been taboo to him. If it is exposed now, his reputation will be in danger, and the status of the Uchiha clan will plummet as a result." Playing with fire. Isn't playing with fire the specialty of the Uchiha clan? We have played with fire several times, shouldn't the Uchiha clan show some sincerity? Qianyang had something to say and glanced at Luo Chuan. Hina's heart skipped a beat. This guy actually used this kind of thing to threaten her. Of course, what the Uchiha clan did to Luo Chuan cannot be concealed, but the Hyuga clan did not pursue it before, but now Hyuga Qianyang actually uses this as a lever to exert force on Makoto's matter. This is purely to deceive him. He gnashed his teeth with hatred in his heart. Once, for Zhao's good, Hyuga clan really used these things to deal with him, he would be in a very embarrassing situation. It is even possible that Konoha's top management will find an opportunity to weaken the power of the Uchiha clan. Unable to make up their mind, once they agree to the other party's proposal of marriage, the Uchiha clan will be suspected of showing weakness. Looking at Uchiha Fugaku again, standing next to Hina, he stared at the calm Luo Chuan, his fists clenched tightly. Seeing that his father seemed to be considering this matter, he immediately became anxious and shouted, "Luo Chuan, you will not succeed. I will never hand Makoto over to you, she can only belong to the Uchiha clan. Luo Chuan had a smile on his face when he heard this. Sure enough, anger can easily make people go to their head, and now the fish has taken the bait. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.